Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Good morning, everybody. Ben and Woods on 97.3. The Fan, our favorite day of the year. It's National Barbershop Quartet Day.
We're one short.
Where's Adam when you need him? Will he be in today?
Yeah.
I think he's off this week.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's right. His is, hey, guys. Is he off all week?
I think so.
Guy takes more vacation than Ben.
It's also
Jesus.
National Cheese Fondue Day, so if you'd rather go that direction.
Overrated. Fondue is one of the biggest bits of all time. Pure bit. Come to my fondue restaurant and lick this disgusting cheese off of this piece of lamb or whatever it is. It's absolutely hideous, and you're never full.
Yeah, you're not totally wrong there.
Hey, where we go? We're going to fondue. Cool. Are we all going to put our keys in a basket and sleep with each other's wives also after the fondue party's over?
This is the point of the morning where we learn we have 7 tier 1s who own fondue restaurants.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
You've just offended.
Sorry about it. We are going to fondue. Cool. What are we going to eat for dinner when we're done? Because giant waste of time and money. The old fondue pot.
Fondue the cheese, bitch.
Wow. Fondue the cheese. It is such a bit. Drew asks, would it have not been possible to start the show 10 minutes late so we could hear our guy Jesse Agler on the DA show? Yeah. Okay. We'll see you guys in 10.
The Padres hadn't had much success on the field, I kind of thought it was going to be that way. And I was very pleasantly surprised. There were 23,000 people in the building most nights because it's a great place to go watch a game. There's people from out of town who want to check it out. And I was like, oh, this is cool. There's people here most nights.
Sounds like he's
and
in
now,
the studio.
it's out of control. They're going to set their single season sellout record probably by
in
the
New
All-Star
York.
break or thereabouts. Probably going to average about 40,000 a game. It's just every single night feels like
he's gone in studio with
really,
Mraz
really
more than he's gone in studio with us.
Oh my gosh,
New York,
that's such a good point.
Boston,
You're going to
St.
hear
Louis,
Jesse
some of your
Agler on this
old-
program, Andy, in about 2 hours and 32 minutes. So he'll be here with Ben and Woods, and you can always use the Odyssey app to go back and rewind his interview. I love Jesse, and I don't want to give the DA show much pub after all the events of last week. They have stopped harassing us, by the way, popping up in our group chat and whatnot. I wonder if he does bring us up to Jesse Agler. That would be interesting. Like, hey, your morning show, like we did anything wrong last week. We didn't do anything wrong.
I would assume he'll ask about the viewing party, though, for the Aztecs game at Petco Park. Jesse was there in person.
Yeah, Jesse was working.
And give them a firsthand account of what went down.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So anyway, it's Ben and Woods. It's Barbershop Quartet Day. Mildly obsessed with the Barbershop Quartet. Did try to get one last year for the Christmas and holiday extravaganza, and this may surprise you. The market for barbershop quartets it's not a saturated market. So if you were thinking about putting one together, you'd corner the market in San Diego, because there was one and they'd been around for a while, and then I don't know what happened, drugs, ego, I have no idea, but they broke up. And so now there really is none. And there was one in Irvine, and it was going to cost me $500 plus a per diem or something to bring them down for one show. And I said, you know what? I like blowing money on frivolous things, but that's a touch too frivolous for me.
I can get 3 car washes for that.
Yes, I can get 1 oil change and 3 car washes for that, Benjamin. So that's not going to happen anytime soon, but I do love a barbershop quartet. And I wonder when the time came because they used to be everywhere back in the, 30s, 40s, 50s, maybe. When did the time come where they looked at each other and said, this isn't working
well,
anymore.
I don't know
cool
that,
anymore.
I don't know that it's so much a matter of less cool. That's part of it. But back in the 30s, they didn't have as many things to do. Think how hard it is just to set up 4 people to play golf at the same time.
Right.
Imagine having to practice probably a couple times a week at least if you're
Right,
a
more than
barbershop
that.
quartet. Ted, and arranging the schedules of 4 people. Okay, we need this hour and a half every day set aside to practice singing. it's almost impossible nowadays to coordinate schedules with 3 other people at the same time.
Well, Leonard Skinner did it at the Hell House down on the swamp, and they did it. And if Leonard Skinner can do it, then a barbershop quartet certainly can. I have a hard time saying barbershop quartet for some reason, but it's a big day on this show is what I'm trying to tell you. I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Reindl. He's our executive producer. Good morning, Paulie.
I am working very hard on something.
Oh, are you good?
It's going to delight you very much.
I like that very much.
I actually am tooting my own horn on this one.
Paulie's about to check
You're gonna
out
lose
for
your
5
effing
minutes,
mind.
which is absolutely fine. It's
I will
absolutely
have
fine.
this done by the end of this segment.
That's fantastic. Benjamin R. Higgins, your friendly neighborhood sports anchor. Good morning to you, Benjamin.
Good morning to you as well, Woods, and hardworking Paul over there. It's Tuesday, and we're just off and running this week.
We really are. Yesterday was a really good show, fun show. Today, hope to have a really great show as well for you guys. Obviously, it's a little kind of a bummer coming in after a loss, but like we said, man, we're going to do that at least 60 times roughly this season. So it's just about how you deal with it, flush it, and move on. Same with the players. Certainly some interesting moments in last night's game that we will get into. I had a doctor's appointment yesterday, Benny. I went in to the doctor to get my sleep study approved by my family practitioner. He's a great dude, Dr. Dominguez. He's the GOAT. And I go in and he's like, so what's up? And I'm like, feel pretty good. I said, I'm working out more, eating a little better, getting more exercise than I ever really have, a bit more committed to it. I said, yeah, I have my streaks where I don't do, 3 days where I don't do anything. And then I go pretty hard. And that's just kind of how I am. And mentally feel pretty strong. Everything's good. The show's great. He listens. He's a big Padres fan as well. Got Tony Gwynn merch all up in the rooms. He said, well, what's with the sleeping? And I said, it's the deal, man. My wife tells me, I had to wake you up 15 times last night. Of course, I don't remember any of it. He goes, well, we did a sleep study on you back in 16. So he pulled up my results in 16. And back in 16, he said, you were waking up 43 times an hour. 43 times an hour. He said, it puts such a tremendous strain on your heart. And I said, yeah, I'm obviously a little bit worried about my heart. I smoked for a long time, did way too many unsavory things for a long time. I said, yeah, of course I'm worried about getting up, putting my shoes on and dropping dead. Because it's happened to people way healthier than me. So he takes my pulse and he goes, your pulse was a little high when you got here. Let me do it. Make sure she got it right. The nurse. And so he goes, it's screaming right now. He goes, I'm actually going to give you an EKG right now. And I'm panicked, just full panic. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah. Back to the back room. So shirt off, stickers all over, EKG. First time I ever had one. So I'm kind of panicking, right? I don't know. I'm about to have a heart attack in his office. So all of a sudden he goes, so we do the thing. She goes, yeah, no, it's totally normal. Completely and totally normal. Not one jump into a cautious territory. So he walks back in. He goes, is it me? Do you just get nervous around me and your heart starts racing? I don't know what it was, but it domed me out enough to where I was like, all right, I'm gonna kick the Adderall. I'm not gonna do that anymore. So you may have some really, not that I'm great at what I do anyway, but I may be worse. I may be more distracted than I usually am. I'm usually pretty locked in for the first 3 hours, and then you kind of lose me. But I'm gonna kick that because I'm worried about my heart. I don't want my heart to explode.
Well, first of all,
it still might.
I'm glad you're okay. Second of all, you seem fine this morning to me, locked in like you always are. I didn't notice a single difference.
Oh, I took an Adderall this morning. I mean, when I'm done.
Never. Oh, I see.
When I'm done with this prescription, I'm not getting another one. I'm going to slowly wean myself off of it. But once these are done, he asked me, do you want a refill on your prescriptions? And I said, not that one. I said, I'm good. I'm going to try to do this all natural. A little coffee, the Ben Higgins way, if you will. So I think it'll help. But yeah, it was very, very, you get nervous when you're talking about your heart, man. So many, like I said, people that jog 10 miles a day and eat kale and eat well, they're like, oh, he dropped dead of a heart attack. It's just like, oh my God. So it's kind of scary.
Yeah, no, when I had my famous Red Bull incident,
yes,
I collapsed at the television station and Obviously, they took me in the ambulance. They're thinking heart, could be something like that. And, they hooked me up to all the machines. It's very scary, when you don't know what the beeping and everything means and if you're going to be okay. Turned out it was probably more just a little dehydration and exhaustion.
Dehydration, exhaustion, combined with a massive amount of caffeine.
Yep.
It's not a good combo for you. He also said the fact that you have to work so hard at night to like wake up, go back to sleep, wake up, your adrenaline, he said that's why you have a lot of adrenaline throughout the day. He goes, that's taxing on your heart. So he really says the CPAP machine, it's going to suck. It's going to suck. You've tried it. You got to fight through it and just kind of wear it. And so I think if I can get my head in that space of like, hey man, put this mask on, go to sleep. It might save your life. You've got kids. I think it'll help. So listen, this has been that year for me that I am facing mortality more than ever before. And it's because of my two babies. That's it. Like, I don't want my kids to be 7 and 4 without a dad. I just can't wrap my head around it. They need me. I need them. I want to be around as long as I can. So I'm doing all the things necessary to try to do that as long as I can. Obviously, there's no promise. I could get hit by a bus when I walk out the door, but I want to make sure it's not because of something I did, crappily. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm very domed out about it. I think about it probably way too much. And I'm just going to try to continue to make, good positive steps. Like Sammy Levitt inspired me yesterday. He goes, I want to be the best Sammy Levitt I can be. I went downstairs. I did a HIIT workout and I hated every second. I only got through about half of it. But boy, when I left, I was cashed when I was done. So baby steps, man. You don't have to solve everything at once. But yeah, anybody out there listening, if you're thinking about going to just make sure you take care of yourself because we need you around.
Well, you have my complete support.
Thank you.
And good luck to you on your journey.
We can do CPAP notes, tips. Did you get yours fixed?
I did, I think. I don't know. I just changed a couple of settings, unplugged it, plugged it back in.
Reset.
Had a good night last night. So hopefully everything is back to normal. Paulie, have you finished whatever you're working on over there? Before we go to our first break?
Oh, have I?
Okay.
Well, it's National Barbershop Quartet Day. Of course, the first thing that came to mind was this gem from November 29th.
The Blue Moon song that I referenced? That one. Yeah. For some reason, I made it my mission to be able to sing that one.
Your mission.
Yes, his mission.
The doo-wop version of that.
Right now.
Go ahead and turn that down.
All right, everyone.
Bump it, bump it, bump it, bump bump it, dang it, dang it, dang it, dang it, ding dong ding, blue moon, blue moon, blue moon, dip to dip to dip, blue, 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 blue moon, dip to dip to dip, blue, 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 blue moon, dip to dip, bump it, bump it, bump it, bump it, dang it, dang it, dang it, dang it, ding dong ding. Blue moon.
So
I know that didn't take you 7 minutes.
No.
You pulled that up in 10 seconds.
I thought,
that's on the main board.
How can we have a barbershop quartet? Like we said earlier, there's only 3 of us. But what if I had 4 different Ben Higgins singing Blue Moon?
Ooh.
And I put it all together.
Oh.
And
is there a barbershop quartet setting or something you just slide the audio into? That's amazing.
Bump it, bump it, bump it, bump bump it, dang it, dang it, dang it, dang it, ding dong ding, blue moon, blue moon.
Oh my God!
Dip, 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 blue, 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 blue moon. Dip, 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 blue, 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 blue moon.
Oh my God!
Dip, 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 bump it, bump it, bump it, bump it, dang it, dang it, dang it, dang it, ding dong ding. Blue.
Oh my God!
Now, I think traditionally you want people with different vocal ranges.
I heard 4 different. No, I heard 4 different ones.
You want some variety in your quartets?
I heard.
We had the original.
I heard loads of variety. Loads.
Dang dang it, dang it, ding dong ding, blue moon, blue moon, blue moon.
Oh my God.
Blue moon, blue moon, blue moon. Dip to dip to dip, blue, 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 blue moon.
Dip to dip to dip, bump it, bump it, bump it, bump it, dang it, dang it, dang it, dang it, dang it, ding it, dong ding.
There's your tenor.
Blue moon.
Holy crap!
Well, it's funny because my unlikely music collaboration for this week's Daily Ditty, Ben Higgins and Paul Reindl on the on the controls over there. So we'll have our daily ditty coming up and then get into the
dude.
show
That
today.
just laid me out.
The dang 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 ding dong ding blue moon blue moon. Dip 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 blue 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 blue.
Can you hear it?
Dip 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 blue 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 blue.
Now they need some work.
I didn't say they were good.
No.
You don't have a lot of time to practice.
That's first practice, which is we can work with that. I am screaming. I feel like I'm gonna die. There goes my heart.
Swear to God, I just thought of that.
It
This
just
segment
popped in your head. Holy crap, man! All right,
Oh.
brilliant. Thank you, Paulie.
Stick around. We got Padres talk forthcoming. They go from their best offensive game of the year to their worst. That's baseball.
Holy crap!
Back to back. We have one of our friends in the crosshairs of Don't Do This morning. You won't want to miss that.
Oh, this is
Coming up at
fantastic.
7:20. I hate to do it, but we have to do
he
it.
knows it's coming.
We have to do it to him. And then, as you mentioned, Jesse Agler, it is Tuesday and Incorporator Tuesday. Voice of the Padres will get off of the DA show and hopefully call us at 8:35 from New York this morning. We're getting started. Be right back after a check of traffic. Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
I was waiting to see if you would pick Rob Thomas and Carlos Santana. Smooth.
Yeah.
This song came out.
Year 2000, I think.
Was it 2000?
Like 98, 99.
Let me see.
Yeah.
Smooth. Rob Thomas. Released June 15, 1999.
99.
I was in Chicago. I worked at a couple of different bars, and it was this and Hypnotized by Biggie. And then you would walk down the Rush Street in Chicago, and one would have Smooth going, then the next one would have Biggie, then you'd walk this one, it'd have Biggie, and then this one would have Smooth. It wore out. They wore that song out. I mean, at the end of the day,
It is a
it's
really
not
good
It's
song.
not the worst song in the world. Carlos Santana is a flat out G. Rob Thomas, I could live without, but you put them together and that riff and the whole thing, all right, it's very Ben Higgins. So
Just
it's
like the
ocean
ocean
under the moon. It's the
on
same old state of motion that I found you. Yeah, it's really, give me your heart and make it real, or just forget about it. Barbershop quartetting all day in here. He did that record. Santana did that record where he did a lot of collaborations. But all right, well, let me ask you a question. Is that really an unlikely mashup?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm going to give you a pass on it because it's kind of what it was the assignment.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd say
I mean, not the most unlikely in the world, but
No.
certainly when it came out, it felt like, ooh, this is
I mean, you
this is
can't
new and different.
like
The
Woods.
little-
You can't pick like Dre and Snoop Dogg.
right. Yeah, I mean, you're like, oh, shocker, you guys are collaborating. No,
Yeah.
exactly.
I would say. I mean, it's
like
probably.
Kenny Loggins and Michael
fringe.
McDonald, I love, but not that unlikely.
That's not unlikely.
not unlikely at all.
I'd say Santana and Rob Thomas is fringe, but it checks.
different.
checks.
I felt like they're different eras.
Yes, you're right.
Santana's kind of
Matchbox 20. I mean, Santana was at freaking Woodstock, dude.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll give you that. You know what? You're right. You nailed it.
Good job, Ben.
Great job.
Thank you.
Great job on
Ben,
that.
you do a great job.
Ben, you do a great job.
Thank you, Dave. Oh man,
Where do we want to go? Where do we want to start here?
Well, we'll get to our Padres wrap up in a couple of minutes, but I don't know. Is this an overreaction Tuesday
Not
or
for
is
me.
it an underreaction Tuesday?
Yeah, I'm not going to overreact in the
It's
slightest.
baseball.
Yeah.
It's baseball.
It's Mud said it last night. That guy's going to the Hall of Fame, first ballot. So I mean, you're obviously bummed by kind of a listless offense. That being said, the game plan that I suggested at the end of the show yesterday was the game plan that they had. And by the way, it worked. It worked. You got Max Scherzer out in the 5th inning. He walked a ton of guys. You just couldn't get that.
Pitched well, but he was beatable. Like you made him work.
He was, bro. If Xander doesn't roll over in the first, if he gets a knock, keeps the train rolling. Who knows, man? You get Max Scherzer on the ropes, and I feel like you got to credit Max Scherzer. Where credit is due, Max Scherzer knows how to pitch. He knows how to play this game. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame, and he shut down a white hot offense without clearly his best stuff at all. And you just couldn't get that hit, man. You couldn't get that. There was one, I can't remember, runner on third, less than 2 outs. Was it Grish maybe that Cade? Oh yeah, 93 down the middle, had put together a decent at bat. I saw some good things last night. I saw some really good at bats, and nobody got the hit though.
I was we'll talk about it coming up.
Yeah.
But I was certainly wondering if there was anything different they could have done in those first few innings, because I liked the way they were making him work. I mean, they got him up to 23, 24 pitches with 1 out in the first inning.
Yeah.
I thought, ooh, this
is nice.
This could really be trouble, because if they can extend this inning of 2 or 3 more batters, get a run or two on the board, get him up to 35, 40 pitches, it's a completely different game.
No doubt.
It's a completely different game. You got the lead. You've got Scherzer on the ropes. He's probably looking at no more than 4 innings tops. You do that. That ground ball double play that you mentioned by Xander Bogaerts, actually one of the more well-struck balls they had off of Max Scherzer.
Yep.
Ended up, though, being just what he needed at the right time to help him get through at least the 5 innings. I also want to talk about, obviously, Yu Darvish's performance and his second start of the year as well. We'll get to all of that coming up. Listen to Jesse and Tony's highlights next on our Padres wrap-up. Stick around. It's coming up on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
mess of a baseball game last night.
Was it though?
Yeah, it was.
I don't know if it was a hot mess.
It was a hot
It was
mess.
one of 162.
Well, yeah, of course they all are. But man, you hated to see it, for me at least. I said it on the show yesterday. There's a little bit of blood in the water right now. Max Scherzer has not had a good start to the season. So when there's blood in the water, what does a shark do? A shark attacks and sees it and takes you down, the foot on the throat. And man, did I love what the Padres did in the first, coming in, drawing a couple walks. That at bat from Soto was beyond fantastic. A battle of the clash of the Titans. Those two cats going head to head. Trent works a walk. So you're in position to do some damage and get a couple runs early off Max Scherzer, which again, you punch a heavyweight in the mouth hard and make him bleed. Anything can happen. So I felt really good with Darvish on the bump. And I just felt, man, once they kind of got out of the first with that double play, I was like, oh, we got to keep grinding. Still had more opportunities to take Max out, but he was giving you chances. You weren't exactly earning those chances with base hits and, gaps into the double and things, or doubles into the gap. He was handing you chances and you did not capitalize. And that's the real bummer for me, the unfortunate part.
All right. Well, I feel like I've got a slightly different take. Obviously, you're not wrong. Hold on to the thought, though.
Okay.
We're going to check traffic. We'll come back with our Padres wrap up, all the highlights from last night, and then we'll discuss here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the premier Cadillac of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the premier auto family, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Insperity. Good morning. We've got another dense fog advisory. This one goes till 9 o'clock this morning, so you definitely want to factor that into your drive. Give yourself a little extra time. Some very foggy conditions around parts of the county. Just one problem, the westbound 905 before La Media, there is a stalled car in the center divide. Providing scalable HR services, access to better benefits, payroll, and HR technology for over 35 years. Insperity's mission to help businesses succeed so communities prosper. Insperity, HR that makes a difference. Visit Insperity.com. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
It's a shame if they lose.
Did you miss any of the Padres game yesterday?
Oh, it's been a great day today. Can't wait for more.
Oh, God, here we go. Jesus Christ.
Cancel the parade. That's why you play the game.
It's the Padres wrap-up with Ben and Woods.
Slam Diego? More like fail Diego.
Presented by Hamul Casino. With thrilling slots and tables and all the best rewards, Hamul Casino has all the fun you're looking for. Hamul Casino, fun above all else. On 97.3 The Fan.
I just felt the way that the roster is built, they would have to outscore their opponents to win.
So McNeil, the left-handed hitter, rounded out his first at bat, swings at the first pitch, lines it down the right field line. That's a fair ball going to the corner. Odor's going to have to chase it down. Nimmo has scored easily. Lindor is being waved by Joey Cora. Here's the relay to the plate. It is not in time. And standing at third base with a 2-run triple is Jeff McNeil. The Mets strike first here in the bottom of the third, a 2-out rally. He does square to bunt, pushes it towards third. It will roll on the lip of the grass, up the line, and it will somehow stay fair. Base hit, Guillorme.
I hope these Mets players are tipping their grounds crew.
Guillorme modest lead, held on by Cronenworth. The 0-1 pitch, a little tapper up the third baseline. Again, they're going to let it roll. And again, it is going to somehow hug the line. It is on the line, and it stops on the line, a fair ball. Unbelievable. This game will drive you mad. Manny's laughing, because what else can you do? 2-0, hard hit, past Machado down the left field line, and a base hit. Guillorme will come in and score. Nimmo's on his way to third. He's going to be waved. Throw coming in from Soto. Bogart's relay to the plate. Not in time. A 2-run double, Francisco Lindor. All of a sudden, 5-0 Mets in the seventh. Runner on third, 2 outs, down by 5 in the ninth. 1-2 from Ottavino to Kim. Here it comes, and Kim takes right down the middle. Strike 3 called, and the ball game is over. Andre's going to lead off single from Xander Bogaerts here in the ninth, but Ottavino bounces back to strike out the next 3, and the Mets take game 1 of this series by a final of 5-0.
He got his pitch count up. I think it was 25 or so in the first inning, and try to make him throw some pitches when he's got pretty good stuff. His velo came down a little bit, but used his breaking stuff effectively, and we just couldn't string anything together.
Well, sometimes it's just not your night, and as evidenced by two of the weakest hit balls of the night, not quite back to back, but in the span of three batters, both going for singles in the 3-run seventh inning for the New York Mets on balls that normally go foul. I mean,
yeah,
when you hit
almost 100%.
when you pull
of the
and hit a
time.
chopper like that with side spin and it hits the grass and rolls onto the dirt, those balls almost always go foul. And somehow both of them, I don't know if there's just a lot of chalk on the line that kept them fair, or if the,
Looked like
the
there was a
field is
ridge.
tilted slightly.
A magnet or something.
It was.
I think Mud suggested that they have guys who like to bunt, so maybe the grounds crew
Sure.
kind of builds up a little bit of a rail there to try to keep balls fair. It's certainly within the purview of the home team to cultivate the field to the best liking of the players.
I was shocked that the first one stayed
Yeah.
fair. I was laughing my ass off when the second one.
Yeah, because
stayed
then
fair.
the second one was a swinger.
swing.
Yeah, it was a swing. The other guy placed it
And
perfectly.
I'm like, are
and-
you effing kidding me?
Yeah, it didn't make any sense. But yeah, you get that feeling like, oh man, it's not our night. But at the end of the day, it's never going to be your night in the big leagues if you can't score a run. You will never. This is some analysis here. You're never going to win a game in Major League Baseball if you don't score at least one run. That's literally impossible.
Thank you.
Can't,
Thank you, John Smoltz.
You can't win a game. So
it's true.
You don't score, you don't win. So therein kind of lies the problem. Didn't
I
really
just
have.
felt the way that the
Yeah.
roster is built, they would have to outscore their opponents to win.
Yes. This roster in particular, you really want to make sure you score more than the opponent to win as many ball games as possible.
This roster,
Start
I'd
with
say
one,
the
though.
Orioles roster, the
Yankees roster,
every
the
roster,
Dodgers
you want to
roster.
make sure that you outscore your opponent
Yes.
if you're trying to win the game.
Especially the way they're constructed. 0 runs is not going to get it done. And listen, a lot of Ks again, 14 strikeouts for the boys last night. 6 walks was nice, encouraging, but you didn't make him pay at all. You popped him in the mouth, you cut his lip, you cut his eye, and you didn't go in for the kill. And that was the tough part. That was the tough part for me. I thought you had plenty of chances to beat that team last night. You pitched really well. The bummer for me was seeing I single, back foot slider that slid too much and hit Lindor, and Jeff McNeil, who's a really good hitter, laced one down the line, and you're down 2-0.
And that was like 60-second span in the third inning. You was cruising 2 2/3, had about half the pitch count of Max Scherzer. Looked like, he was going to go much deeper into the game. He did go much deeper in the game than Max Scherzer, but then he had to battle from behind because of that 3-batter sequence, ground ball, hit batsman, and then the double by McNeil, changed kind of the tenor of the entire game there in the third inning. You mentioned the first inning, though, the not being able to capitalize on the 2 walks and the high pitch count. In particular, I think you saw Max Scherzer was getting a little bit flustered, on the mound. You could tell
I'm intense,
close calls that didn't go his way, the frustrating inability to finish off batters when you're close and they foul off a few and then they draw a walk. That can be irritating for a pitcher. And had he not gotten out of that jam, the Mets fans, I think, were ready to
they were
turning on
Yes.
Max Scherzer a little bit, and that really could have had a bad effect on the New York Mets in that game. So that escape hatch, the ground ball, and it was fairly hard hit, one of the harder hit balls by the Padres all night by Xander Bogaerts that just happened to go right to the shortstop for the double play. I mean, I feel like it changed the game 100% now in hindsight.
I was driving home from the grocery store yesterday afternoon, and I was listening to the pregame show, and Sammy talks to either Jesse or Tony for about 5 minutes every pregame, and he had Jesse on, and Jesse mentioned Max Scherzer and where he stands with Mets fans right now, and he said, look, from what I've been talking to people here in Queens about Max Scherzer in particular, like, they're ready to turn on him. They're not exactly happy, and it dates back to how last season ended and how this season has started. And I'm like, look, I didn't predict that he was going to shove. I didn't think in my head that we're going to attack him either. I was like, he's one of the best, if not the best pitcher of the last 20 years.
Yeah, he's in the
I was
conversation.
shocked that in his short tenure with the Mets that they're already like, this guy's washed.
Well, that's
It's
what they
Max
say.
Scherzer.
The tough East Coast media really demands more of their players, and Doesn't translate to any more wins. It doesn't translate to more World Series. It doesn't translate to Max Scherzer. Max Scherzer didn't pitch better last night because of the tough New York media and the fans.
Right. Like I heard that in my head. I'm like, yeah, it'd be awesome if the Padres could throw 4 runs up in the first, get this guy booed off the mound. But I'm like, bro, he's not just a guy. That's still Max Scherzer.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, so you had plenty of opportunities. As far as positives from the game, I think Yu Darvish is a positive.
Which is funny because in his first outing, I didn't think he threw the ball well at all.
Me neither.
Gives up 1 run in 5 innings. Yesterday, I thought he threw much, much better. Gives up 5 runs in 6 1/3 innings. Now,
I mean, it's such a deceiving line, because a couple of those runs were charged to him. They were inherited.
Tim Hill gave up the double to Francisco Lindor.
I mean, his
after Darvish left the game.
It jacks his ERA up. He's about a 4.76 right now. He's still getting ramped up from the WBC. I like that Bob left him out there for 100 plus. That's what we're going to expect from Yu Darvish for the rest of the season. So, hey man, get out there and get it done. Again, you're not going to win a game with 0 runs. So they just couldn't put anything together offensively at all. Those games are going to happen. You flush it and move on and go out and try to beat a left-hander today, which I feel like you're going to have a little bit better lineup, a little bit better looks at, and hopefully Ryan Weathers can go out and shove today too. So I don't know. I may take the over in this game if I was a betting man.
Saw a lot of dissatisfaction with Austin Nola on my timeline.
It is the new
during the game last night, and I'm not going to say that Austin Nola has met all expectations in his time with the Padres.
Honestly, really any expectations yet.
I did think when he hit that ball to the opposite center field gap, I think it was later in the game that the Padres were finally going to get on the board, and it was tracked down, one of the harder hit balls, and a nice play made out in center field on that one. But offensively in spring, I was starting to get encouraged that maybe Austin Nola has figured something back out again. He seemed like he was hitting a lot of line drives.
Well, then he wears 95 to the face, and I remember that last night, and I went, man, it's not an excuse at all, but I'm an Austin Nola fan because he wears a Padres uniform. I'm a Luis Campusano fan because he wears a Padres uniform. Would I take an upgrade at catching today? Yeah, 100%, absolutely, in a heartbeat. And not that I wouldn't miss those guys or think that they could still contribute. Sure. But would I like an upgrade at catcher with just a little bit of offense would be fantastic, or a little bit of an opportunity, to throw out a runner or two. Again, a lot of the stolen bases have Yu Darvish is ridiculously slow to the plate, ridiculously slow. Blake Snell, for a left-hander, has one of the worst moves you'll ever see in your life. Ryan Weathers today, he's going to be able to hold runners. He's got a good move. Go down the list. Not too sure about Lugo. Not too sure about Waka. But I feel like Waka's pretty slow to the plate as well. Look, it's a bad combo. Not a good arm by really slow times to the plate. It's a recipe for disaster. So if you ask me if I would take an upgrade, the answer is yes. Obviously, I would love to see more Campusano. I hope we see Campusano in the lineup today.
Well, you're talking about an upgrade offensively, I'd imagine,
or both.
But here's the problem. We're waiting around, and it's too early in this season to make a big change. You got to give Nola and Campusano time to lock in, and they may still end up having great seasons. It's way too early to say. But we've also seen Nola now for 2.5 essentially seasons. I mean, 2020 they acquired him during the year on the short season, played all of 2021, 2022, and now here at the start of 2023. And I can't say that the Padres wouldn't be better off with one of those. And I'm not going to invoke his name because I don't want him back, but a defensive only catcher, a guy who's just a super defensive catcher, can't hit a lick,
like Martin Maldonado,
right?
For the Astros,
because you're not getting any offense anyway from Nola, and he's not a super defensive player. He works well with pitchers. He's got a good rapport with them. Seems to call good games. There's value in that.
That feels
especially if he starts hitting. I think Austin Nola would be a great all around catcher, but if he doesn't hit, he's really kind of a mediocre. He's a mediocre backstop behind the plate who doesn't produce at all. You could just get a great defensive catcher for cheap and throw him back there.
It feels a little Captain Obvious because yes, with this roster, when Cronenworth is probably hitting in the 5 or 6 hole on, especially when you have Tatis back, you have so many guys that can mash that yes, you can now get away with giving up of a spot basically offensively at the catcher position, especially if Kim is contributing and if Grisham is contributing.
Right.
But when we made that change, you had 4 or 5 guys that were just black holes in your lineup. You had to get something, try to get something offensive.
I mean, you always want to get production out of every guy you can, and I don't blame the Padres for trying to find some offensive catcher, but right now they're not finding it, and they're also not getting defense, and you should be getting at least one or the other. If you've got a poor defensive catcher, then he better be able to hit, and if you've got a poor offensive catcher, he ought to be really, really sharp behind the plate, and I don't feel like the Padres are getting either of those things from either of their catchers right now.
I just think with 3 games, how many games we played? 11? 11. So Nola's got 8 starts. Campusano's got 3. Campusano, again, if you want to read anything into this, they're 3-0 when he's behind the dish. They're not when Austin Nola. Now, again, such a tiny, small sample size. Campy could catch today. Weathers could give up 6 in the first. Don't know how much you put on Campusano there. It's just it's a convenient, easy argument to make. But I do feel like I thought, and I really thought I thought it'd be more of an equal type split. Maybe not equal exactly, but like a 4-3. Now
Campusano's not hitting.
He's not hitting either. Yeah,
at all.
But he's only had 3 games.
And defensively, I would argue he's probably not even where Austin Nola is necessarily.
I mean, I feel like they've both made some decent picks. I feel like they both made some decent blocks. I feel like they both made some terrible mistakes back there as well. And guys have run like crazy on both of them. But again, I think a lot of that's on the pitchers on our staff. But listen, it's not something to panic about right now. I told my wife last night, I go, the fun thing about this team is this. All of this with Carpenter and Nelly Cruz and Odor, and look, they're going to go out in the first half. And I honestly feel like I feel like everybody thinks this is the year. And I feel like this is the year. If you're not, this is a huge, huge year. They're going to make upgrades, period. And no matter really what it costs them, Ben, at the deadline, you're going to see, again, probably another 2 to 3 players added to this team, whether it's a bench outfielder, whether it's a catcher, or whether it's a first baseman and get Jake back in over at second. I don't know what you do with us on Kim, but having more guys that are available to play different positions is valuable. You're going to see a reliever. I mean, with the Robert Suarez news, which we haven't talked about yet, he's shut down. They're going to continue to keep him shut down right now. He felt something in his arm. Joe Musgrove out there playing commando.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that coming up.
He's going to be in my.
I just think catching wise, you're not making any changes now, but I wouldn't be shocked if quietly AJ added to AAA a really good defensive catcher. Where if later in the season you're really not seeing any additional production out of either of the guys up here, someone who you can bring up in the second half of the season, get comfortable with the pitchers. And if you went into the postseason and you had 8 guys who were locked in hitting and one tremendous defensive catcher who hit 0.72, it's not the worst strategy to go forward in the postseason.
The last year's World Series champion, Martin Maldonado, is a great example. He is so trusted by the pitchers. He's got a cannon for an arm. He's great backstop. Can't really hit a lick. If you get any offense from him, it's just gravy.
I just warn you that in about a week or 2 more of this, and you're going to have Padres fans calling for 16-year-old Ethan Salas to start catching on the big league level.
Apparently, somebody called Coach's show yesterday and said we should make Jackson Merrill a catcher. Now, just convert him now to get his bat in the lineup. So that would be an interesting.
Okay, Ethan Salas is not catching for the Padres this year. Just let everybody know.
Yeah, that's
not bringing up a 16-year-old.
That's one I'll eat a shoe. I'll eat a shoe if they bring up Ethan Salas.
All right, we'll come back. Had some Aztecs news yesterday from the basketball team. Play a little take on Woods as well. All coming up next on 97.3 The Fan. It's weird to be talking Aztecs basketball here in mid-April, but I feel like there's a significant amount more interest in this team than there was
Couldn't agree
a few
more.
months ago. And when guys like Lamont Butler and Jaden Ledee announced their intention to enter the NBA draft, San Diego all of a sudden takes notice. And that's what happened yesterday. Welcome back. Hour number 2 of Ben and Woods here on 97.3 The Fan. Now, don't say goodbye to these guys yet. I sense some panic around San Diego, like, oh my God, they're going to be losing 2 of their key players. This team is going to go from Final Four to middle of the road in the Mountain West next year. Just because they've declared for the NBA draft doesn't mean they won't be Aztecs next season. In fact, I think if you ask Brian Dutcher, he'd probably say he encouraged both of them to put their names forward for the draft, because now with the rules the way they were modified a few years ago, you can go and work out for scouts. You can even get invited to the combine. You can have until the end.
That all self-represented, right?
You can actually even have an agent
like,
now. Yeah, you can have a representative even now. I believe.
Hire, is it like a consultant?
A little bit, yeah. I think so.
But that used to be the rule, right?
It used to be, yeah. If you had an agent, then you
declared for the draft,
went pro.
you signed an agent, and you were done.
But in
college.
the days of NIL, I think things are a little bit looser now. So you can have someone definitely officially advising you in this process, and then you make your decision.
I think it's great.
And if you don't think you're going to get drafted, you can just say, you know what, I am retaining my college eligibility and I will come back. And I don't know what it's going to go like for Lamont Butler as he does gets a workout or 2. I don't know if he'll be invited to the combine. I'm sure that there will be some NBA teams who like his size, his defensive ability. There'll probably be some questions about whether his offense and shooting touch will translate to the next level yet. Will that encourage someone to, throw a second-round draft pick on him? Maybe. He's definitely not a slam dunk, going to get drafted first-rounder, though. And if you're not, a lot of people would recommend that you come back for another year of college, get a chance to get some more offensive reps under your belt. Same for Jaden Ledee. He may dominate in college next year and really move up some draft boards where not sure that, he's done enough yet to open those eyes, but he'll get a chance to work out and show some things for the scouts in the NBA the next month or so. And I think that's good news for the San Diego State Aztecs.
Yeah, it's an interesting part of college athletics, to be able to, and it happens in baseball. It sees all the time. You got a full ride to go play at Stanford, but the Guardians drafted me in the 3rd round, and I can get a decent bonus. And I'm going to go do that. I'm going to start my career now, and I can always go back to college, et cetera, et cetera. It's nice when they have a year of eligibility left, and it gives you an idea of what's in store. And like, hey, listen, we love your game. You need to score more. You need to be a better scorer. You need to be a better shooter. Your defense is great, but it's not going to play. You're going to be in the G League and things like that, and you're not going to make a ton of dough, and you're really going to have to grind it out. Go back next year, improve your scoring, improve your passing, whatever. And yeah, man, next year you have a monster season. Yeah, you'll be right there for us.
I know it's different for every kid. You don't know what their family life was like. Right. You know what I mean? Like,
you don't know what their goals are.
Maybe a late 2nd round pick, and they're like, I got to go now.
Yeah, it might be worth it.
And like, if you were a college athlete, a college basketball player, where would be like your drop off point? Like, is it only 1st round? If they told you, we're looking early 2nd round.
For me, I would just need a guarantee that I was going to get picked. Don't tell me that I'm probably going to get drafted.
You run a huge risk
and don't pick me.
Like, let's say you're early to mid 2nd round projected, or you go back to college. I mean, you're one injury away from not getting drafted. Yep. Now you could have a great year and maybe improve. How much are you going to improve your stock?
Right.
Probably not a ton.
But even if you're picked in the 2nd round, the money is not as life-changing as it is in the 1st round. And you're probably buried in the G League for at least a year toiling. And maybe that's what you want to do. And you want to work against, professional opponents and hone your craft that way. Some guys who really need the money, will go play in China or Europe and get a nice payday right away. They don't want to wait another year before they're getting that paycheck. I do think NIL has changed that equation a little bit, where you can stay in college and you're not saying, well, I got to go another year where I'm getting absolutely nothing at all. You can at least know that, hey, there's going to be a few $1,000s coming in my way. Maybe not what I'd be making as a pro yet, but it's not nothing. and I get a chance to not only, get another year of the college experience and be on my team. I could be a star. We could go back to the NCAA tournament. There are some advantages now to sticking around in college that didn't exist in the pre-NIL days. So we'll see what happens. I love Brian Dutcher's attitude, though. He said, the way he puts it, sure, he'd love to have those guys back. They're a much better team with Lamont Butler and Jaden Ledee next season, of course. But he says if they impress so much that they end up getting drafted, late first round, early second round, that's great for our program.
It's phenomenal for your program.
Long term, we produce NBA players is one of the best recruiting tools he could possibly have.
There's no doubt about it.
In Ryan Dutcher's mind, of course, it's a win-win situation for the Aztecs to have these guys declaring for the NBA draft. So I applaud his attitude, and I wish Lamont Butler and Jaden Ledee the best of luck, even though I kind of think they'll both be back next season with the Aztecs.
I mean, it's that which is a good thing. That's a really good thing for the Aztecs and potentially for them in their long-term career. But hey, you never know. You never know what
even
may
to see
happen.
the headlines of a couple players going into the draft.
Yep.
That helps with recruiting.
Yeah, no doubt.
I mean, Kawhi going mid first round or whatever it was. And then obviously
was he mid first round?
Yeah, he was like 15, 13, I think,
14, 15,
right there in the
somewhere
middle.
there. Yeah, like Jimmer went way ahead of him that year.
Jimmer.
Yeah.
Where's he? Taiwan?
China.
Oh, yeah, China.
And he's having a great career over there. Tip your cap to him, I guess. But Kawhi obviously got the last laugh with a couple of rings and MVP caliber seasons. But like having a guy like that changed the landscape for San Diego State basketball.
For sure.
Let alone having multiple guys at least have a cup of coffee in the NBA. Malachi Flynn, Jordan Shackle, guys like that. But every year that you can get guys in the draft, that's huge.
Need a contestant for Take on Woods? Now is the time to call 833-288-0973. It's our musical trivia game with a chance to qualify for a getaway to Las Vegas 2 nights, concert tickets as well. 833-288-0973. We'll play in about 2 minutes here. One guy who hasn't made the decision yet is Keshad Johnson. Now, interestingly, Keshad has left all of his options open. He said he is possibly willing to come back, maybe going into the NBA, or may still enter the transfer portal.
Interesting.
Which is not something you see a lot out of a San Diego State player. He got a lot of love at that celebration on Saturday night with that, the show and Aztecs fans chanting one more year to Keshad to try to encourage him to come back to San Diego State. Again, no problem if he gets drafted, goes to the NBA. That's great news. Great if he comes back. If he transfers, I'm not, that one stings a little bit coming off a Final Four run if he decides he would be better off playing in another college program somewhere else.
Doesn't make a lot of sense, but
I don't think so either.
Again, you're not in his head.
Nope.
You don't know what's important to him. You don't know where he wants to be. I don't know if he wants to. Where's he from? Do you know?
Keshad is a California kid.
California kid.
Yeah.
All right. So I really don't know why you would, but maybe you want more opportunity. You never know what's going on in somebody's head. The reason behind the transfer.
Oakland native,
Okay.
Northern California.
All right.
So maybe closer to. I have no idea, but we'll see what he does. My guess is he'll enter the draft and put his name forward just like his teammates did, and make that decision by the end of May. All guests on Ben and Woods appear on the Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads. Look at all these people calling in for Take on Woods. Let's get to it. Let's play a game. All right. Hey, everybody who didn't get in, call tomorrow. But John, you have made it. You are our contestant today. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, guys.
All right. Woods has left the studio. Good morning. We can hear you. I hope you can hear us because it's very important in this game that you can hear the music.
Yes, sir.
All right. So John's good to go. Woods has left the studio. John, you will be playing for a chance to qualify for our 2-night stay at the Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino and tickets to see Barry Manilow at the International Showroom. He is performing now, 14th year at the property. That's a Vegas record. You get your tickets now to see Barry Manilow at the Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino. Here are your categories to choose from today, John. We've got 70s movie music, Feeling Needy. That's 5 song titles with need. somewhere in the title. And our mystery category is back. That's where the 2-second song opens up the rest of the theme for you if you want to take a shot there. So, John, 70s movie music, Feeling Needy or the mystery category? What would you like?
70s movie music, please.
70s music. Okay,
say that quick.
Songs, 70s movies today. Woods, 5 questions, 60 seconds. We'll come back to it if there's time left on the clock. First question is our 2-second song. Paulie will play a short clip. You'll give me the title and the artist to score that point. We'll go from there. John, are you ready to play?
I'm ready.
All right, put those 60 seconds on the clock. Your time begins when Paul plays the music, the category 70s movie music. Good luck, John. Here we go. Let's take on Woods.
Staying Alive, Bee Gees.
Correct. Isaac Hayes sings Who's the Cat Who Won't Cop Out When There's Danger?
Shaft.
Correct. What's the official title of Bill Conti's iconic theme song from the original Rocky?
Gonna Fly Now.
Correct. The 1976 film was a flop, but the band Rose Royce had some success with which soapy movie?
Car Wash.
Correct. In a James Bond twist, the theme for the 1977 movie wasn't called The Spy Who Loved Me, but instead this hit power ballad by Carly Simon.
Nobody does it better.
Wow,
Good
John.
Lord.
I wasn't sure after hearing his connection, but he killed it today.
Wow.
That could be a tough one to beat. That certainly qualifies
I think
for
we-
our getaway.
I think we're going to have a winner.
Hang on the line, John, and start thinking of a daily ditty possibly for tomorrow. Paulie will get your information in a couple of minutes. Let's see if Woods can match that. Staying
Crushed
Alive,
it.
Shaft, Gonna Fly Now, Car Wash. Nobody does it better. All right, here he comes back in. Doesn't get the category. John's score is locked in. Let's put 60 seconds back on the clock. Reset our 2-second song. Woods, your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck. Let's take on John.
Staying Alive, Bee Gees.
Correct. Isaac Hayes sings Who's the Cat Who Won't Cop Out When There's Danger All About in the theme to which movie?
Shaft.
Correct. What's the official title of Bill Conti's iconic theme song from the original Rocky?
Gonna Fly Now.
Correct. The 1976 film was a flop, but the band Rose Royce had some success with which soapy movie theme song?
Car Wash.
Correct. In a James Bond twist, the theme for the 1977 movie wasn't called The Spy Who Loved Me, but instead this hit power ballad by Carly Simon.
Octopussy.
Oh, no! And by a 5-4 score, John
Good job, John.
has won our game of Take on Woods.
I decided to do a bit instead.
Yeah.
And it
Did you
cost
have
me.
any idea what the answer
we know
was?
what you want.
It's a good song. Carly
For Your
Simon.
Eyes Don't Know.
It's not. It's The Spy Who Loved Me was the movie. Usually the song is the movie
Yeah.
title. But in that case, it was Nobody Does It Better by Carly Simon.
Nobody does it better. I didn't know that was in a Bond
That was a
movie.
Bond theme, yeah.
Makes me feel sad
Yeah.
for the
It's
rest.
a good song. And it's from a James Bond movie, 70s movie music, the category.
Good
And
job,
John,
John. Knocked it out
our
of the
winner
park.
today, he gets to pick a daily
He had
ditty
like
for
35
tomorrow.
seconds left, too. He just
he
flew through that.
Absolutely
Attaboy.
crushed that category today. Our first winner of the month as well. So, Paulie will get your information here in the break, John. Congratulations to you on a victory on Take on Woods. All right, we'll come back. Don't Do This is next.
I love
Our
you,
friend
Joe.
Ryan Phillips from the Big Lead
He's in there for sure.
is in there. And Joe Musgrove, what?
I love
Oh,
you,
my
Joe.
God. What are you doing?
I
Oh,
know
no.
that. I know that many of the Musgrove clan listen. And thank you for your listenership.
And he's been an unrelenting string of do thises
He is like a walking doo-doo this.
all the time.
this.
I can't believe he's going to make Don't Do This.
It's his first foray into Don't Do
Oh.
This. I'm so sorry.
Oh, it's
I'm
coming
so
up
sorry.
Wow.
next
Why
with
do you
Ben and
hate
Woods.
Joe
I'm so
Musgrove?
sorry. I'm so sorry.
After a check of traffic here
Tara,
on
Mama Musgrove, I'm so sorry.
97.3 The Fan. Wow.
But yeah, this
Still blown away by John's performance there in Take on Woods, one of our best tier 1 efforts that we've seen. Not just
Impressive.
5 for 5, but fast. and really nailed that 70s movie music category.
Impressive, buddy.
Yeah, that was a kind of a do this, but we'll get to don't do this here on Ben and Woods. And I hate to do this because we love Ryan Phillips from thebiglead.com.
Oh, yeah. It's our boy.
Great
All
guy.
of our friends are just taking L's today.
Just getting worn out.
And there was nothing wrong with what he wrote yesterday evening when he wrote it on thebiglead.com. Wrote a story under the headline, Max Muncy has completely fallen apart. Ryan Phillips writes, 2 years ago, Max Muncy looked like a low-cost franchise cornerstone for the Dodgers. Two-time All-Star OPS machine, and while not a great defender, was versatile around the diamond. Then, like fellow presumed franchise cornerstone Cody Bellinger, his play fell off a cliff after a truly disastrous 2022. Muncy has started 2023 in the tank again. Goes through some of the numbers, the slow start this year again for Max Muncy. They post that. And then the Dodgers go out and play the Giants last night in San Francisco.
They're real rivals.
What does Max Muncy do in that game? In the moments after it was written about by Ryan Phillips in thebiglead.com, but the headline, Max Muncy is completely fallen apart. Max Muncy, 3 for 3, 7 RBI, 2 runs scored, a 3-run home run, a grand slam, and a walk as he leads the Dodgers to a 9-1 victory.
How many total bases? 7?
Let's see. He had 8 total bases.
Walk doesn't count.
Walk doesn't count.
No, 7.
But on-base percentage was perfect. Slugging percentage was insanely high. And while his batting average is now only up to 194, his OPS is now up to 800, which is actually all-star level after the one day after Ryan Phillips writes about how he has fallen off a cliff.
I feel like that happens a lot. It's almost scary to say things on the radio,
especially early in the season.
Yeah, it's like you feel bad. Like, hey, man, I really like to see so and so get a look, wherever on the mound, behind the dish, at first base, and they go out and just have the crappiest game. You're like, I hope nobody was listening. I hope nobody remembers that, because that's a bad. It feels bad when that happens.
Watch out for the Dodgers offense. They've now scored 69 runs in their 11 games. Padres, I think we're close to second. I think they're third maybe in the National League with 50. So the Dodgers have been putting up significantly more runs than anyone else. Now the pitching staff until yesterday hasn't been quite up to Dodger standards, but I mean, the numbers wise, their run differential is far and away the best in the National League. Again, even though they have the same record as the Padres at 6-5.
So I'm going to put our buddy, friend of the program, it's always been so good to us, Joe Musgrove, on Don't Do This today for one simple reason: you tried too hard. That's it. You tried too hard. You did too much. That's it can be perceived as a negative. So there's a video that made the rounds yesterday. I had to show both of you guys this. I don't know what you guys were doing yesterday, but you weren't on Twitter, because this thing was everywhere. Joe Musgrove's on the bump, playing in a rehab game, Benny, and he is in El Paso. Throws the pitch, kind of middle in. Guy slams it back up the middle, kind of off his chest, maybe ribs, hits him up the middle. Now, that in and of itself, when you've got a $100 million pitcher on the mound that he's rehabbing and trying to get some work in, that in and of itself is scary enough. Boy, those reactions kicked in, that adrenaline took over. Joe then, as the ball ricochets away, a good solid 30 feet. I mean, he hit it hard. And he runs in a dead sprint. He barehands it and launches himself into the air to try to get the out at first, because he's an athlete, and that's what athletes do. It's hard to turn it off for these guys. Problem is, Ben, he landed really, really hard on his shoulder. Now, stayed in the game. Again, adrenaline is a really weird thing. You don't feel that. He didn't feel the ball hit him in the ribs. He didn't feel his shoulder. He just got the ball, went back and pitched. Well, next morning he woke up. He went, guys, my the old wing's a little stiff. Well, yeah, you landed on it from 6 feet in the air, by the way, with all your body weight. And so he had to get a cortisone shot. He's feeling fine. He's going to, I think, miss one start here, and then he's going to be back. But man, it's a good and bad, right? I mean, it's a good because that guy is a gamer.
I get
He's
instinct. I get being a gamer. I appreciate that about Joe. there is almost no circumstance in which trying to make that play is the right decision.
Even if he was here and it was game 3, he's starting game 3 in April, I'm still like, hey.
Yeah,
no, it's a long season.
It's even if it's game 3 of the World Series, if it's early in the game, I don't know that you want to try to make that play. It's a low percentage play. There's a high percentage chance of getting hurt. Unless it's like tied in the 6th inning of game 7 of the World Series.
There is no tomorrow.
There's no tomorrow. Then you go ahead, take a shot at making the superhuman play and putting your body on the line. Until then, Joe, eat it.
Dial it back.
Eat that one. It's
keep
a
Tiger in his
AAA
cage,
game.
man. I know it's hard, and especially when the ball hits you, there's a visceral reaction to where you're
It's like you've been attacked by something.
Yes, you're like,
and you're a fight
bitch.
or flight response.
Yes, you SOB.
I just run away from the ball. I'm flight.
That would be.
I'm disgusted.
You're
with both
doubled.
of you.
You're doubled over in pain on the mound. But boy, he bounced right up and it was so wheels off.
I'd start crying to make the batter feel bad
the
about
throw,
hitting me.
The throw went 10 feet over the first baseman's head. It wasn't even close. It wasn't even close play. So, Joe, I love you, man, but we need you.
I apologize. Tara, Diane,
So sorry.
we know the Musgrove family listens to the show. If you're listening right now, I just apologize for both of these idiots.
This hurts me more than it hurts you. Believe me.
All right, finally, for Do This, I think it's about time. We talked about it a little bit
mega doo-doo.
yesterday, but I think now the watch is on for the Tampa Bay Rays, who finally had to take on a semi-real team yesterday in the Boston Red Sox and played their first close game of the year and pulled out a 1-0 win on a Brandon Lau shot to beat the Red Sox for their 10th straight victory to open the season. Now they're getting in pretty rarefied territory.
Elite company.
There's only been, I think, 6 other teams to start at least 10-0. And the record, if anyone was wondering or had forgotten, is a 13-0 start to begin the year. The 1987 Milwaukee Brewers and the 1982 Atlanta Braves.
Wow.
Those are the longest winning streaks to open a season in baseball history. And they are now just 3 wins away from baseball history. They will continue their series against the Boston Red Sox today. I think it's a Shane McClanahan against Chris Sale.
Dirty. What a
in
matchup.
this one.
My
Pretty
God.
interesting matchup for a team looking for their 11th straight victory. The first 9 were all routes.
Yeah.
Against inferior, but still major league competition,
Sure.
but the Tigers and the A's and the Nationals. Now it's the Red Sox, and they get a close win under their belt. Can they take it all the way? Can they set a new record? We'll know by the end of the week.
Pretty nuts, man.
If they're able to do it.
Pretty nuts. Really, really good pitching.
They've only
yesterday.
trailed twice.
Yeah.
In the first 10 games of the season.
Pretty,
They've only trailed twice.
Great pitching, timely hitting is a beautiful, beautiful thing. The Rays do it really, really good, man. They do it as good as anybody. Will they be there at the end? Who knows? If they have the firepower to get to the end. But pretty fun story for the 1,300 fans in attendance at home games for those Tampa Bay faithful down there. The 1,300, maybe 1,400 that come out to the games. Tough scene for them. They win 90 games plus every year, and their attendance is god awful. God awful.
And that's Don't and Do This for a Tuesday.
That was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
We'll get back to some more Padres when we come back. Last night's game, if you got some thoughts, you can join us, 833-288-0973. And we just talked about Joe Musgrove. Padres, some good news and some bad news when it comes to the bullpen yesterday as well. We will get into that coming up next on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. This hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by Gomez Trial Attorney. Seriously injured, get a real trial attorney. Get Gomez. If you've been injured in a car, truck, or motorcycle accident, Gomez Trial Attorneys ready to fight for you all the way to trial. Get a real trial lawyer. Get Gomez. Call 833-GET-GOMEZ. So looking for a little help out of the bullpen. Padres bullpen hasn't been disastrously bad. They've had some good efforts. Stephen Wilson's been solid. Brian Honeywell's been good.
Yep.
Josh Hader hasn't allowed a run yet this season. They've also had some poor back-end efforts by Nabil Crismatt, and Tim Hell hasn't been as locked down as we've seen him in the past. But it would be nice to get Robert Suarez back. You extended him in the offseason, considering him your top setup guy to Josh Hader, and we are not seemingly getting any closer to seeing Robert Suarez return. He's still in shutdown mode. They don't think he's got any big elbow damage, but at the same time, they're not ready to start him throwing at this point, which is worrisome.
Well, he was throwing, and didn't he hear a pop? Something?
Well, he went to the guy who did his Tommy John surgery, and they said it looks good. So they're just going to be patient and wait a little bit more. But that really tells you that we can't expect to see Robert Suarez for at least another month or more as he continues to, wait it out, and then presumably has to start long tossing and then, getting on a mound and then a rehab assignment. That's a process that takes a while. So don't expect any reinforcements from that part of the cavalry any soon. Now, I did say some good news as well. Drew Pomeranz, who yesterday you said you didn't even want to talk about, was sent to AAA on a rehab assignment yesterday, which presumably means, goes well for a couple of starts. He could be back with the Padres fairly soon, and maybe even contributing.
I want to believe, but
Well, I mean, once you get to this level, you can feel a little more confident that he's closing in on a return. Now it's simply about returning to form and seeing how it feels. But health-wise, you don't send a guy out on AAA rehab unless he's feeling good and ready to start throwing in, full competition mode. So that's good. Right?
That would be a nice addition to the Padres pen, I would say.
Again,
if
like
he's
you
healthy.
said, I don't know how good he's going to be. He could be perfectly healthy and not the same Drew Pomeranz anymore. He's just not pitched enough in the last, 3 years of this 4-year deal for us to really count on him for anything. But the fact that he's throwing is great news for the Padres, and at least is the possibility that they could add a strong back end arm to their bullpen in the next couple of weeks.
Suarez news is concerning. It's very concerning. And listen, I don't know of too many teams that are massively forthcoming with every single detail of their pitchers' arms. We're certainly one of those teams that they're not the most forthcoming team. I don't think it makes them an anomaly in Major League Baseball by any stretch, but I'm concerned about Robert Suarez, and he's such a valuable part and piece of this bullpen that, if you lose him, maybe Stephen Wilson steps into that role because he certainly has the stuff to do it. An eighth inning type guy certainly has the stuff to do it and has proven himself this year so far. But then somebody needs to step into Stephen Wilson's role. Could that be Drew Pomeranz? Is there somebody down in the minors that's throwing? Every time I watch Domingo Tapia, I'm like, my God, this guy's stuff is freaking filthy. He's 99, moving the ball around, but just the lack of consistency, maybe that'll come. Maybe that'll come with more reps and more games and more opportunities. I like his stuff. His stuff certainly plays at the big league level. His command is a little bit wonky, but if they can get that honed in, I trust the guys down there to do that.
There's always a guy or two from every team that kind of comes out of nowhere and contributes. He'd be Domingo Tapia this season.
I mean, he'd be huge. We still got Luis Garcia. It's just he's
gotten off to a bit of a slow start.
He's one of those guys too. I feel like it feels a little hit or miss with him. And yeah, I mean, look, it's 11 days in. You got to get the consistency. You got to get the routines and everything else. Kind of know when you're going to throw. From my understanding, Bob's really good about letting guys know, when they're going to be thrown, when they're going to be used. Brent Honeywell is another name of a guy that's done, really, really well at times this season. So we can weather that storm if Suarez has to go down for any length of time, and it looks like he will.
Don't miss our own Tony Gwynn Jr. and John Heyman's podcast, Big Time Baseball, free on the Odyssey app. Jump back to episodes you may have missed and follow Big Time Baseball for updates on new episodes. Simply download the Odyssey app, search for Big Time Baseball to get started. So Xander Bogaerts is off to a very nice start, obviously, with the Padres. Had another 1 for 3 last night. He's hitting .325. The other two major stars in the lineup are not doing as well, and it may be for the same reason as this season gets started. We'll talk about that when we come back after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the premier Cadillac of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by the San Diego County Sheriff's Department. He reports of a roll of carpeting in the HOV lane on the southbound side of the 805 just before Plaza. Also a couple problems in the North County collision eastbound side of the 78 right before the 15. Car and semi involved there over the right shoulder, and another crash on the Camino del Norte off-ramp. Southbound 15, that's over to the right shoulder. The San Diego County Sheriff's Department is working hard to keep San Diego safe and is now hiring. The Sheriff's Department offers rewarding careers with growth and has an opportunity for anyone with integrity that wants to make a difference. Go to joinsdsheriff.net to learn more. That's joinsdsheriff.net. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
So through 11 games, Woodsy, Juan Soto has a .205 batting average. That is very un-Juan Soto-like. Now, he walked twice again yesterday, and his OBP is a respectable, if not quite Juan Soto-like, .367. Has a couple of home runs. His slugging percentage is .410. Manny Machado, an 0 for 4 yesterday. Now, his average is .279, which is not terrible, but everything else is not right about Manny. He's not barreling the ball. He's not getting the exit velocity we're used to. His OBP is only .304. His slugging percentage, no home runs yet this season. .326, very un-Manny-like through the first 11 games of the season.
Definitely.
And if you watch Juan Soto, you can clearly see he is trying to figure out how to best make the new pitch clock rules work. You know, we saw for a few days he was taking timeouts in the middle of at-bats to try to slow things down. Yesterday, he started taking timeouts before the at-bat even started to give himself more time to dig in maybe and adjust his gloves. Then he doesn't have a timeout the rest of the at-bat. He's clearly in the experimental phase of trying to adjust and figure things out. And apparently Manny is also feeling the same way. Some quotes from Manny Machado, not intended as excuses, but these from the UT and Kevin Acey's newsletter this morning, that things are just not flowing right now. There are a lot of new things going on right now with the pitch clock and speeding up the game a little bit. So I think that's something that I've been having to make an adjustment on. Manny's also a guy who, you know, the way he has played baseball, and you can see it when he's in the field, he likes to chat. He likes to take his sweet time on things. And the fact that you don't have that opportunity to, you know, say hi to the umpire, hello to the catcher as you walk up, it's a little bit different. And he is still, I think, in that adjustment period to these new rules.
I think about the interview that they showed on Sunday Night Baseball when they were talking with Juan Soto and Ronald Acuna Jr. We referenced it yesterday. They asked them about that, and Juan, you know, said, I don't like it. He said, I try to slow the game down when I get up into the box. And that's, I think great hitters do that, because the game, while it's a slow game and can move along at its own pace sometimes, baseball can speed up on you, especially in an AB against Max Scherzer, against a guy, you know, that's throwing 97. You know, you're in the box there, and it's Walker Buehler, and he's throwing 98 on your hands, and then he's throwing you want to be able to have some control. I do feel like pitchers have the advantage right now. Conversely, though, this is it. This is it. This is they're not going to change it back. You're going to have to make the adjustment, or you're going to not be good, and you're not going to help this team win a championship.
And I don't think Manny is saying that he wants them to change it back or he's not going to adjust, but what's a fair amount of time, you know, to expect him to make that adjustment? It's
weird, because his entire career, he's been able to put one foot in the box, lean back, take a breath, look around, you know, think about it. It's weird, because in baseball,
I mean, is it crazy to think that could be a 3-month period? You know,
no,
of adjusting?
It's not. And that's it. It sucks for us. It sucks for him too, because you know he wants to put up numbers. Man, he's an ego guy. They're all ego guys. You don't make $300 million without having an ego and being really good at what you do. And if you're not producing, it's going to hurt, and it hurts your team, and it hurts the fan base, and it hurts you. Manny wants to win. We know that. That's never been in question. Same with Juan Soto.
Here's more from Manny on the pitch clock. You get into at bats, you can't think about what you're going to do. You've got to think about the clock. You have to step into the box, and you're not thinking about approach and not thinking about what this guy is going to do. So you kind of have to have it ready from beforehand. But once you step in the box, like whatever you thought about 2 seconds ago is going to go out the window. You've got adrenaline, you've got fans, you've got maybe runners on first and second, runners on second and third, whatever the situation might be. You're going to forget what the hell you just thought about.
Yeah, it's the weirdest sport too, because, and you guys played, we all played at some level. You want to think about, hey, and tell who was more of a thinking man's hitter than Tony Gwynn. He knew the plan going into every bat. He knew what he wanted to do. He thought about what Maddox was going to throw him next. He thought about what Smoltz was going to throw him next. He had his routine. He had his rhythm. They're going to have to figure it out. They're going to have to figure it out quick because we need them. We need both of them to contribute. They're middle of the order guys. Like it sucks. It is what it is, but you've been able to jump so many hurdles in your career. This one is one, unfortunately, you're going to have to do it, and you're going to have to do it quickly.
I've noticed that some of the younger players who have been in the minor leagues the last couple of years, where they had the pitch clock already implemented, look much more comfortable than the veteran players who did things, one way for maybe the past decade, like Manny. And he said more here in the past, quote, you could just take a breath and be like, ooh, all right. You could analyze the situation, runner on third base, and this is what this guy is trying to do. Then you step in the box and you go. Now you don't have time to analyze anything, because you've got to get in the box within a certain time.
Well, the funny part, the point I was trying to make is you want to think, and then what do they tell you when you get in the box? Don't think, man. Just see the ball hit the ball, right? Like you don't want to be up there in your dome, but it's clearly in their domes. But it's not what is Max Scherzer going to do here. It's, oh God, am I looking at the pitcher? Am I on time? Like, hitting is so effing hard. Baseball in general is hard. Putting a clock on it has made it difficult. Some guys aren't going to have a problem with it. Some guys probably enjoy it. I mean, you heard Manny talking the other night. He was laughing. He goes, yeah, do I like getting home after 2 hours and 3 minutes? Yes. He goes, it's great. Get home and chill on the couch and watch TV. He goes, it's phenomenal. You get home from the ballpark a little earlier. And he's like, I got to make that adjustment. It's not an excuse. It's just something he's going to have to do. And look, he's going to have to do it quick.
Well, you
can't drag into June.
Yeah, you have no doubt that Juan Soto and Manny Machado will continue to work on it. But like playing golf, you can work on it, and until something clicks.
Yeah, dude.
You're just even kind of in the torture chamber.
It can click for one swing, and then it goes away again. So
you do feel like Manny just needs a couple of days where he starts barreling it up.
He hits a couple barrels.
Comfortable.
He's not going to think about.
But
the clock
we really haven't seen it yet, and I don't think it has anything to do with the contract talks or the extension from spring training.
My man looks like Javi Baez up there right now.
Yeah, he didn't come to play. He's not out of shape or anything. He's simply adjusting to what is actually a fairly significant rule change, especially for guys like Manny Machado and Juan Soto that have been doing things the same way for, in Manny's case, the last 15 years. When he started playing professional baseball. Until now, essentially. And now he's being expected to make a fairly significant change. And he's saying he'll do it, but I think we have to be fair and say it's not something that'll just happen overnight, that he will be comfortable with this. And the question is now, how long is it going to take? And when is he going to start looking like Manny Machado at the plate again?
Hopefully tonight. Got a lefty on the bump, and who do we need it more from?
Machado or Soto?
Yeah. Defense hasn't slept on Manny's part.
I think it's Manny though.
Yeah,
he's the heartbeat of the team.
He is.
Juan Soto.
He goes, we go.
Even with the 205 average, he's going to make pitchers work. He's going to draw his walks. Yes, we would love to see the Juan Soto that we traded for from the Washington Nationals, who hits 300 and is got a 470 on base percentage. We haven't seen anything close to that Juan Soto yet, but Manny's the heartbeat of the team. And I feel like if his struggles continue, it could have a trickle down effect on the rest of the roster.
Does adding an MVP candidate next Thursday, hopefully, does that impact anything for Machado and Soto at the top of the order?
I would tend to say not really. doesn't change the clock at all for Manny.
Right.
Yeah. Is it good for the Padres as a whole? Is it
Of
harder
course.
for opposing pitchers? Could it
More
result
like
in
lineup protection wise.
could it result in a couple of more fastballs that are missed down the middle because you're just stressing opposing pitchers more? Absolutely sure. But I don't think it changes fundamentally what Manny needs to do, and that is alter his approach, alter his mindset, figure out a better way to attack opposing pitchers in the time constraints that he now has to do it. And that is something that has to come from with nothing about Fernando Tatis returning or nothing really about anything Bob Melvin says or where he puts him in the lineup, second or third. I wonder if part of that, the flip around, has been to try to get him more comfortable. It seems like the lower in the order, maybe you'd have more time to think about what you're about to do. But I just don't know.
It's just weird. I really thought he would thrive. I thought Juan Soto would thrive, and I fully expect them both to thrive and have good years. Blake Snell is another one. I thought the pitch clock for Blake Snell was going to be like discovering electricity. I'm out of my head.
Vocal from the beginning
He
about not
hated
liking
it but I thought, hey man, you can hate it all you want. It's going to help you. It's real. In my opinion, in my mind, I went, this is going to help him. Like, he's out of his dome. Just give me the ball. What fastball have done? And I'm going to throw it, and I'm going to give you my best effort. Man, I think it's doming out a lot of these guys. It's just unfortunate that it's three superstars on our team in a year we want to win the World Series. They can't seem to get their head around it right now.
Bogarts seems fine.
Bogarts is fine with it. But even he looked a little bit perturbed last night on one such instance too. So it's an adjustment, but look, I think the WBC too, like, they were gone with different rules for a while. Then they had to come back and settle into a spring training at bat, which, by the way, I mean, how serious are you going to take it? We saw Manny get banged in spring training. We saw Manny get banged in the first week of the season. But yeah, you gotta get through it at some point. We need you. We need you. We expect it from you.
You got some thoughts on Manny Machado and Juan Soto? You can give us a call in our second half of Ben and Woods right around the corner, 833-288-0973.
I mean, Juan said in that interview, it's important for me to slow the game down. It's important for me. And if I can't do that, I'm not getting the most out of myself. I need to be able to slow the game down. So take that for what it's worth. I'd say, they showed the stat on Sunday Night Baseball where he stands OPS in elite hitters in history, and he knows what he's doing. He's a phenomenal, phenomenal baseball player. Too good to be hitting 200, too good to, have a 365 OBP.
Ultimately, the reason they've been so good is because they've been able to make adjustments during their career.
Absolutely.
So I trust that they will make this adjustment as well. But, how fast they make it is important here. Making it in a week is a lot different than making it in 3 months.
Yeah. You can't go into June and July like this. Like, I'll be pulling my hair out at that point if that happens.
All right, again, 833-288-0973 if you want to talk about this or any other Padres subject. Second half of Ben and Woods around the corner. It includes our weekly appearance from the voice of the Padres, Jesse Agler, the incorporator, on a Tuesday. He'll be with us at 8:35. Stick around for much more coming up on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
But we're half. Oh, sorry, Juan. Sorry. I had the pee shivers because of what Ben just suggested. we're
Fine. It's out the window.
We're halfway home on a Tuesday. It's Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. I like, Paul, that you ignored it completely. You heard it. I know
what you have
heard
to do with him.
All right, so you can say it since we've thrown it out the window.
Of course I heard it.
Paulie just ignores it, and I fight these battles by myself, and then I'm the a-hole.
We were just discussing the incorporator word for Jesse today, trying to come up with something, and I thought, what about something that's just kind of funny sounding, but not really that hard?
What was last week's?
Last week you came up with
Fructify.
But I thought something kind of old timey sounding, like Gadzooks would be funny. There's a long drive by Trent Grisham. Gadzooks! He hit that ball a long way. That would be noticed. That would be notable if a baseball broadcaster brought back Gadzooks in a broadcast.
It's not.
You don't like it.
It's
though,
not.
So.
It's not a challenge. It's not challenging by
It
any
isn't, but it's
stretch.
kind of funny. No, never mind. All right, I'll come up with something else.
And Paul just sits there. He suggests it, and I go, "Oh." And Paul just puts his head down. It doesn't say anything, and you leave me in the trenches over here.
You should try it. It works.
You're telling
Just
me
ignore him.
You're telling me
Just
you
ignore him
wouldn't,
totally.
you wouldn't enjoy hearing Jesse Agler say "Gadzooks."
It's not a Batman cartoon. No, I don't want to hear him go, "Gadzooks." Yeah, see? Oh, I want to die right now. We still have 2 hours. That music makes me laugh. What did we use it for? The Boomer Bullets?
Yeah,
Boomer
every
Bulletin.
day. This was a
This
couple
was
years
2
ago
years
now.
ago? Remember
Every
this?
day during the season, you would give us the Boomer Bulletin, and you would let us know about which, if any, pitchers got a hit in baseball the night before.
The
And
whole thing.
We vowed to do it until every day during
Every
the
day
season
for the season.
until the DH was put in the National League. where
Yes,
it
And
belongs.
eventually it was, and we were able to abandon.
But we
the
only
Boomer
made
Bulletin.
it like halfway through because, well, number one, boomers were furious at me. Number one, I like the pitchers hitting. I'm like, bro, that is not. Do you miss that at all?
Not at all.
You were a late adopter, and you were like, good God.
I acknowledge you were right on that one.
Thank you so much.
I kept hearing, well, how cool is it when Madison Bumgarner hits a home run? Great. If he's that good of a hitter, make him the DH.
Put
then.
him in.
I mean, they obviously
God.
played the Daniel Camarena Grand
Oh,
Slam
yes,
highlight
right.
yesterday off Max Scherzer.
Great.
You
moment.
won't get that moment again
Fine by me.
of a relief
Fine
pitcher
by
taking
me.
a future Hall of
No,
Famer
you're gonna have
deep with the
Nelson
bases
Cruz
loaded.
doing it
Right.
or something like that.
It
An
is
actual hitter.
So funny. Yeah, Jordan says, what happened to leaving the incorporator on the voicemail? Yeah, we don't know how we're going to do it, but if you have one, you can also tweet us at Ben and Woods. You got a word you want to hear. Ben's got one today that I think is phenomenal.
All right,
And
I've
then
come
we'll
up with a better one.
We'll let Paulie do it next week, and then we'll put it to the tier ones. All right, we'll start the season off. How's that sound?
Yeah, we each get at least one choice.
Do we have hot takes?
That's
on the,
not Gadzooks.
do we
Yeah,
have
we
hot
got
takes on the phone
we
right
got some. Let's go out 833-288-0973, where we're talking about the struggles of Manny Machado and Juan Soto.
now? Two beloved members of our team.
Not
beloved.
not like get these bums out of town
No.
sort of thing. Just, how long is it going to take for them to get going? We got Tomas with us here on 97.3 The Fan. Good morning, Tomas. How are
Hey,
you?
Tomas.
I don't.
Hang on.
How are you?
Take a large number 2.
I'll do.
This is, oh, this is on the receipt. It says Mocha though. That's weird.
I think he doesn't know he's on the air.
Probably not. We don't usually go to people that fast. All right, that's okay. John, Tomas's loss is your gain. Welcome to Ben and Woods. Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, Tomas had a little issue there. How you guys doing?
He was getting some coffee, and he's arguing about
Something.
the receipt. This says mocha. I didn't order a mocha. What's going on? I ordered.
I said
Oh
I
man.
ordered a flat white, like Benjamin drinks. All right, what do you got for us, buddy?
So the Kevin Acey, the newsletter every morning. I actually went to high school with Kevin, and
Nice.
I love reading it. And you guys did a really good job of relaying, because the lion's share of today's newsletter was Manny's comments about the pitch clock. And I feel like as long as they're fighting it and they're focused on it instead of the routine that's been cut short,
Yeah.
they're going to continue to struggle. They're just going to have to embrace it somehow, get into a routine. And I also wanted to say, I think Melvin is correct. I think we're going to see the nobody on base pitch clock expanded to 20 seconds. 15 is just too short.
It does feel
but that's the point.
short. Those
Yeah,
are great,
it's
great
it feels
call.
very short.
No, great call. And I was just telling somebody on Twitter too. I said, man, you got to think about it. There are players are different. There are guys that are like, got the pine tar on the, got the rag. I load it up. I walk up, I dig in, and I'm locked. I'm ready. And my mind's where it needs to be. Manny's been doing this way. Juan's been doing this way for, call it 20 plus years, right? So I played baseball for 30 years. I try to play golf now, and everyone's like, geez, you swing like a baseball player. It's so hard to break habits. It just is. And you know what you're doing wrong. You know how you're trying to break a habit. It's just not that easy to do. Now they get paid handsomely to figure out how to make adjustments on the fly. And they're really good at that. They're really good. I mean, bro, I've never seen a right-handed hitter hit a breaking ball like Manny Machado my whole life. The way he gets his foot down, waits, and goes, oh, that's going to be hanging. Bam. I mean, he's like, it's poetic. It's beautiful. It's art. But, man, right now, the best way to get Manny Machado out is just keep throwing those sliders, outer third, outer third, outer third. You can get 3 swings and misses right now. He's just not locked in because he's in his dome.
I've heard that Major League Baseball is reluctant to make any early changes, modifications to the rules. They want to give it a few months for everybody to adjust. But I would say that games are plenty short now. They really are. And if anything, they've maybe overcorrected a little bit on the speed of the game. I would have agreed. I would have said you need to do something fairly dramatic to turn these 3-hour and 20-minute games into something a more palatable 245. That, hey, you need to work hard at that. Well, the results have been very dramatic. Even the Sunday night games like Padres Braves going less than 3 hours. Those ones you expect to sit in for 3.5 hours easy. We've seen many games that have lasted only 2 hours and 3 minutes. Just about every team has played essentially a 2-hour baseball game or a couple of them at this point. And I don't think anyone needs it to be that fast.
Yeah.
So maybe you've overcorrected slightly and now you can back off a little bit. And when that happens, everyone gets to breathe a slight sigh of relief, and it feels like you've got way more time and everyone's more comfortable, and yet you've still shaved 20, 25 minutes off the game. We don't need 30, 35 minutes taken off these games.
Well, listen, and I think, it was a great call, by the way. I do think that Manny barrels a ball in his first at bat tonight. I think a lot of it washes away. I think he gets hits a bomb tonight. It makes everything easier, right? Just getting locked in, feeling like you're, seeing the ball well and you're barreling the baseball. It's weird what a barrel can do. Let a barrel do for you. You know what I'm saying? Like him and Juan get a couple barrels tonight. I mean, I was still encouraged by some of the ABs I saw last night. I mean, it's Max Scherzer. I thought Austin Nola put together one hell of an AB that probably drove him out of the game. Ended up in a strikeout, certainly, but that's one that doesn't show up for an actual really, really good AB, about a 9-10 pitch AB for Austin Nola. But, man, we need our superstars to come through. We just have to. They're at the top of the order for a reason. Fernando's going to come back to the top of the order. We're going to need you to drive that cat in, man.
Are you at all more reluctant now than maybe you were last year to think about a Juan Soto long-term contract extension?
No, I want to say it's weird that I'm in the minority, but we just had a tweet that it's funny when you said that, like, hey, when's this $40 million Padre Bod tweets in? I'll just read it because I don't want to misquote him. He says, who's the real Juan Soto? I keep hearing about some guy who's going to get $40 million a year. Haven't seen much more than an overpaid $22 million a year guy. Sucks, but someone had to say it. Juan Soto as a Padre has been nothing short of disappointing. I definitely disagree that he's been a disappointment since he got here. He had some monster hits in the playoffs last year. Monster. He did. Like, we don't beat the Dodgers without him. If you look at the numbers, I mean, yeah, the power, disappointing power-wise, I'll give you that. But
disappointing average-wise
I'll
as
give you that.
well.
But he had a disappointing average in Washington coming over last year. Like, he wasn't hitting for average.
Right. I'm not saying just with the Padres. I'm saying overall. 2 years ago, at age 22 with the numbers he was putting up, yeah, he's going to be the first $500 million man plus. If he goes 2 seasons where his average is around 240, and he's got to get it up right now to get it up to 240, how do you justify that? Even with the on-base percentage, you're not giving $500 million to a guy who hits 240 in 2 consecutive seasons.
Batting average really what you're going to base a big contract off of? Batting average? A guy that can drop 4 bleeders in?
If you don't, somebody else will.
Well, I know. I mean, I don't know, man. I'm going to look at OBP. I'm going to look at OPS.
If
you don't offer
if he hits
him that
240 with a
contract,
390 OBP and hits 40 home runs, then yes, absolutely. But he's not trending in that direction right now. He didn't get there last year, either with the power numbers or the batting average numbers. Yes, he walks, and there's value to that and getting on base. I acknowledge that. I don't have a problem with that. I will pay for that. I'll pay $20 million for that. Well, I pay $50 million for a guy.
You don't have to pay anything. Zero.
If I was the owner,
$0.
Would I pay that for
Juan
just
Soto cost you?
a guy that walks?
Not 1 nickel.
Because right now he's mostly a guy who walks.
Yeah, 11 days in. Yeah.
No, not 11 days in. 4 months into his Padres tenure. August, September, October was good. He had pretty good playoffs. And now here we are in April. So
really
3 of the 4 months.
We are going to be the fan base that runs Juan Soto out of town.
I'm not trying to run him out of town. I'm just wondering, am I ready to stroke a check for $500 million?
You don't have to.
No, but is Peter
They could sign him
Seidler
for $600 million and sign Shohei Ohtani for $1 billion.
That's an annoying argument. Whether it's my money or not is irrelevant. There's still a value to players. It's not my money. Pay Tim Hill $10 billion. I think that's not an argument.
I agree.
That's not an argument.
I want
How
Tim
could you
Hill here
not
for life.
want to pay Tim Hill $10 billion?
Hey, it's not your money. Go ahead and pay whatever you want.
I agree. Peter
Can we
Seidler,
not
if you're
argue
listening,
that
make it
different
happen.
baseball players still have different values?
Right.
And
everyone across, that's not Steve Woods stats that say pay him $400 million. It's everybody.
Right.
It's not the Woods cast. Everybody's saying it. I didn't come up with that number. It's not an arbitrary number.
I get it. I understand.
The guy is they showed the graphic the other night based on his OPS. He's in with Ted Williams, Barry Bond. Let's give this guy an effing year. Let's give him a year.
It's
How
not a
about give him
game about what
give
you
him a year.
did 2 years ago.
Give him a year.
Fine.
Give him 1 year here.
I will be patient.
You're not, though. And neither is anybody else. Give him 1 year. Are we that fan base?
I'm just saying.
Get out of here.
I don't know that I want to hear about a $500 million extension today.
Well, nor
Juan
should you
Soto.
have to.
Okay.
It's he's still under contract for essentially 2 more seasons. So you don't have to extend him today. I do agree. If he scuffles a little bit, you may get the price to come down, but I doubt it. It's Scott Boras. It's Juan Soto. You know the kind of player he is. Can we give him one calendar year before we bring the torches?
I'm not saying to
and
bench him.
pitchforks?
I'm not saying to trade him. I'm simply a little more cautious than I was about an all-in extension.
I'm so not. I want him here for the rest of his career. And again, doesn't cost me a dime. I just get to root for Juan Soto. And I fully expected him to come out guns blazing. He was the consensus MVP pick from everybody. Again, not the Woods metrics.
Murdering the ball in spring.
Murdering the ball. Pulled his oblique. Maybe he's trying to get back from that. Pitch clock's effing with him a little bit. I don't know. But I do know what he is capable of. I know what he's capable of. And I'm not going to discount the getting on base. I'm not. It's really hard to get on base, and he does it better than anybody in the game. He has the eye of Barry Bonds. He literally, and Ted Williams, and Tony Gwynn. He's got that eye. He's not hitting like Tony. He's not hitting like Ted. He's not hitting like Barry, but he's got the best eye in baseball. So I'm going to give the dude a year at least to figure it out before I'm ready to, not commit to him.
833-288-0973. We got some phone lines open. We can continue this conversation as we get ready for Jesse Agler to join us at the bottom of the hour. Do not go anywhere. More Ben and Woods coming up after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
wasn't. I mean, I'll put my eggs in the Juan Soto basket over the Eric Hosmer basket any day of the week. Obviously, I didn't think that was a point I had to make here this morning, but here I am.
Well, I'm not calling for Juan Soto to be traded or benched, and I will be patient as well. It is very early, and these numbers could mean absolutely nothing over the long term. I simply saying that, all this talk about a $500 million record-setting contract, the production we've seen since the start of last year has been honestly better than average good. He is still a very good baseball player. It hasn't been what you would expect from a guy you would think is going to get a record-setting all-time contract in baseball history.
Yeah, I mean, he might. It's not guaranteed, and
I'd be more likely to give Shohei Ohtani the all-time record-setting contract compared to Juan Soto at this point.
Well, I mean, you're talking about a guy, Ben, that's one roster spot. He pitches and hits. So that's not some giant revelation either. Like,
it's not.
I'll give one of the best pitchers and the best hitters in the world a big contract.
But see, I would even disagree, though. I think, okay, if you had to choose one, $500 million, 12-year, whatever, a lifetime contract. Soto or Ohtani? Who are you doing?
Soto's younger.
I'm doing Soto.
I'm probably going to take Soto
because I think you're going to be paying a premium price for Ohtani, who we don't know how long he's going to pitch.
Without a crystal ball, if you crystal balled me and said nothing changes.
Yeah, 10
Ohtani,
years, he's an elite pitcher and elite hitter. Yeah,
nothing. Okay,
100%.
fine. You'd be a moron to take Juan Soto.
I got to just kind of go with what the gut says. That says we've never seen it, right? I mean, we're in uncharted territory.
I love it. It's the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Amazing.
It's so effing cool when he does it.
I can see a team paying him $60 million a year, and in 2 years, all of a sudden he's like, I think I'm just going to focus on offense now.
Well, maybe he doesn't say it. Maybe the baseball gods say, bro, your velo's at 93. You logged a bunch of
too much.
It's
too much.
You've logged. Yeah. Father time comes for all of us. It's going to come for Shohei Ohtani at some point. And
there's a reason why, but a lot of baseball players right now who are stars, offensive players, were really good pitchers at some point in their career as well.
Jake Cronenworth used to throw 96. He was a closer.
And there's a reason out of the 22,000 players who have played in the history of baseball, many of which were stars on both sides of the ball growing up, never became two-way players. It's because it's almost impossibly difficult to do. What Shohei Ohtani is doing is incredible.
Again,
we have no idea how sustainable it is.
If you tell me, Woodsy, literally nothing changes. He's going to dominate. And okay, if I got 500 million, I'll give you 700 million. Like, that's worth it.
And even if something does likely change, I'm still of course in the camp of why not both, right? There's no reason you can't go out and get him.
Of course. Like,
but if it was in the hypothetical of if you had to choose one to give some record-breaking, 12-year deal to or whatever, I think I'd still go with Soto long-term.
I mean, I feel like it's a win-win. I mean, it really is. It's like you pick your poison. You want cheesecake, you want ice cream. They're both fantastic. I'm going to eat them both if I have my choice. But if I had to pick one, I think the upside of a guy that is, his comps of Mickey Mantle and Ted Williams are still very good. And again, the eye that he shows is hitting a baseball is so hard to do. There's just something off about him right now. Maybe it's the clock. Maybe it's his oblique. I don't know. Maybe I have no idea. But what I do know is I know what that guy's capable of. And you do too, and so does Paul.
It's been suggested by national baseball reporters that the Padres are aiming to go after both Juan Soto and Shohei Ohtani. And if that's the case, I'm great, fantastic. And as you like to say, it's not my money, and Peter Seidler can do what he wants. If you really look closely, though, at what the Padres have done, you can't say that they don't care about it at all. The reason why they've done some of these long contracts, they are clearly at least somewhat cognizant of the luxury tax levels and where they are in terms of that and trying to keep certain levels. It's not it's not simply a blank check for everyone at any time.
No,
There's
with
some thought.
with a $40 million AAV.
Right.
I mean, look,
There is
even
some thought that is going into these signings.
They were talking about it on the national broadcast the other night. Like, you can, with the longer contracts, you can spread that money out. And yeah, you're going to pay for it on the back end when they're all turning 40.
David Cohn was like, look,
you get a World Series ring or 3 in those first 5, 6, 7 years.
That's exactly what
Who
he said.
gives an F?
He said, you get 2 World Series rings. Do you care that 40-year-old Xander Bogaerts is DHing or playing first? I
Plus,
sure as
what's
hell
the
don't.
average salary in 12 years?
That's exactly right. I mean, seriously, it's again the money conversation to me. You know
what Fernando's making, isn't it? Like really,
it's
team friendly.
Yeah, and it's back. A lot of these are backloaded. Manny's way backloaded.
Right.
I mean, it's smart business when you get superstar players. It's really there's not too many I look at and say it's such an albatross. I mean, the biggest albatross we're paying to play for the Cubs right now. Drew Pomeranz, albatross. I'll give you that one. That one's been a giant, colossal waste of money to this point. Drew Pomeranz comes in and helps us win a World Series this year, Ben. Does anybody
Worth
say
every
that
penny.
$60 million or whatever wasn't worth it? Worth every single penny. So that's the kind of sacrifice you have to make as a fan thinking about a team's finances. But if it goes and helps you win a World Series, honestly, I don't care if Juan Soto hits 200 in the playoffs if we win a World Series. He helped us win a World Series. That's what it boils down to.
One other point that was made on Twitter is that, they don't want to necessarily see giant contracts because of the, increasing ticket prices and lack of affordability to go see a baseball game. To that, I would say, while that is certainly a concern and you want to be able to get as many fans into the ballpark as possible, even if I couldn't afford to go to a game ever again, I would rather have my team spend
so good
on the best talent and I just be content to listen to them on the radio or watch them on television rather than be able to afford to go to a handful of games every year to see a mediocre team.
I mean,
I really would.
The point I made in as a rebuttal was, I mean, the Oakland A's they doubled their season ticket prices last year, it's criminal. Their owner pocketed $60+ million. So that doesn't make any sense. They're not paying for any talent. I'm happy. What's my whole life's philosophy? I will pay for things. I'll overpay for things where I feel like I'm getting what I need. I'm getting taken care of. If you're going to raise the ticket prices on me, but you have Manny, Juan, Xander, and who am I missing?
Joe,
Tatis.
Tatis.
Yeah. If you want to jack the prices up $40, all right, great. Because look, I'm going to an All-Star game tonight. You got tickets to a Padre game. You're going to an All-Star game. It's an All-Star game, is what it is. So I understand not everybody's in that position. But that's how I feel. That's personally the way I feel is, and if they price me out, fine. I'll watch this badass team on TV with the best broadcasters in the world.
I mean, would
I'll
you
listen to them
rather
on the
go
radio.
to one game nowadays or 4 games 5 years ago?
Yeah.
One game now sounds like a lot more fun. You can listen to 97.3 The Fan on the Odyssey app for your chance to win a 4-pack of tickets to Legoland. Every hour you listen now through April 16th equals 1 entry in the contest. Awesome awaits at Legoland California Resort. Check out their newest edition, Miniland San Diego, featuring a replica of Petco Park. Tickets are available at legoland.com/California. We'll have Jesse Agler, the Incorporator, joining us from New York when we come back. First, it's time for our financial moment here on 97.3 The Fan.
Benedict Agler on the line?
Benedict Agler is ready.
We need him.
My
We've gotten
God.
dangerously close to 1980s style sports talk radio, arguing about Juan Soto's long-term value right now.
I hate it.
For the San Diego Padres. So we'll take a break from that, and we'll have Jesse Agler joining us from the Big Apple right after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the premier Cadillac of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Well, northbound 125, kind of a troubled ride this morning. Got a collision involving several vehicles just past Hamishaw. They're all over to the right shoulder. Then up ahead before the 8, another crash. 2 cars involved. They've got the fast lane blocked. Got a vehicle fire northbound side of the 5 just before SeaWorld Drive. Does not appear to be blocking lanes. And in the North County, we still have this crash blocking the 2 right lanes. Eastbound 78 right before the 15. Coach Quintero and Joe Musgrove's choice. They're a different kind of dealership looking to be a solid community partner and deliver excellent service. Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Chevrolet, find new roads. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
As we bring Jesse onto our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline, Jesse, you'll have to wait for the actual incorporator word until the end of our conversation, but I'll let you know that Woods already nixed my first choice of Gadzooks.
Good God.
Which I thought would have been funny, but
I hate it here, Jesse, so
Jesse's
much.
like, oh, thank God.
Gadzooks, by the way. Like you're like in a Batman cartoon.
Yeah. Great Gadzooks.
Gadzooks.
Joker.
I said, number one, it's terribly
What's
easy.
Burgess Meredith doing in here?
Yeah, why is Burgess Meredith in here? Well, Jesse,
you're getting something much harder instead. So just know that Woods has deprived you of the Gadzooks experience tonight.
I've saved our entire audience from having to hear it. How was your other radio hit today? I will say I felt the pangs of a little jealousy. I don't like to share our beloved Jesse Agler very much.
I first of all, I thought that going on at like 4 a.m. San Diego time was kind of out of the way a little bit.
Yeah.
But I don't know how to tell you
It
this.
wasn't, though.
But
It was
Did they
6 a.m.
replay it at 6?
Well,
Were you on 4 live and then
Jesse-
they played it at 6 right at the start of our show?
Some guy literally said, he literally tweeted, he goes, you guys couldn't have started 10 minutes later so we could hear Jesse Agler on DA? It's like, okay.
We literally queued it up for like 10 seconds. We're like, fine, we'll just sit back and listen to this.
That's funny. I do have some bad news for you though, Woodsy. Like I do this regularly. I go on a lot of shows all around the country.
I don't want to hear this. I don't want to hear
I know.
this.
I thought you knew. I thought we had an arrangement. I thought it was kind of a situation where
It's
you were aware of
an
all.
open relationship that we all have here. How is New York yesterday? I was looking at your Instagram feed, looked perfect yesterday when you were walking around.
The weather luck we have had being the Padres going back to last year is so good that the only thing I can think about is how is it going to turn, when is it going to turn, and how badly is it going to
Right.
turn. It's ridiculous how lucky we've been getting. Atlanta on Saturday, I'm not kidding, from 4 o'clock in the morning until 45 minutes before that game started. Not only was it raining, it was thunderstorms, it was freezing, it was just pouring. And then, hour, whatever it was, less than an hour before the game started, just cleared up. Normal, perfect night for baseball. I mean, and then yesterday, like it could snow here on April 10th. Like that's not something that's unusual in New York. And yesterday was like 65 and sunny. And today's a couple ticks warmer. And tomorrow it's supposed to be like hot for the day game, like in the 80s. I mean, we are on an unbelievable heater right now with weather. And I know at some point we're going to have to pay for it.
Yeah,
Well-
you left cold and rainy San Diego for tropical New
New
York.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
Well, let's start by going back to Atlanta. I know we're a very much what have you done for me lately sports fan base, but it really was an outstanding series for the Padres. Could have even been a sweep against a team that very much has the same aspirations as our San Diego Padres this season.
No doubt about it. I mean, you go in there and you take 3 out of 4 and, really just sort of assert yourselves a little bit. As I think we talked about last week, and I said this on the air a few times over the last few days, but, I think it's way, way, way too early in the season to be trying to make any, grand proclamations about anything based on results. But obviously that result is good and better than the alternative. And to be able to go in there and do that, I think just kind of further showed us what we know. It's almost new territory right now for the Padres. I feel like last year, to a certain extent, right, we were still in kind of we got to prove it mode as a team. You know, it's sort of like, all right, we gotta show that we're good. We got to kind of prove to, I think, ourselves and to the rest of baseball that this is a really good team. I don't necessarily get that sense right now. Like, we just kind of know the Padres are good. And so my perspective is a little bit different than it has been the last couple of seasons, where, you know, I don't require them to go in and go 5-2 on this road trip so that afterwards we can say, hey, this is a really good team. Like, it is a really good team. That is a fact, you know, and so it's just, it all feels a little less dramatic, which is not a complaint. You know, I mean, that's a good thing. But to me, that's my perspective right now. I know that perspective isn't going to be shared by everybody, but you know, I mean, it's especially this early in the season, it's just sort of like, all right, go out, play some games. You're going to play some good teams. You're going to play some less good teams. And it sort of is what it is. And then, you know, we'll talk about it a little bit more seriously, like in September.
Talking to Jesse Agler here on Ben and Woods this morning, as we do every single Tuesday. I really like, you know, for a 5-0 loss, there was a lot I liked about last night's game, Jesse, other than couldn't really break through with the big hit. You felt like the approaches the last two nights, like, okay, we've got a lefty, doesn't throw hard, he's a rookie. That guy 2 years ago, I feel like dominates the Padres on Sunday Night Baseball. Dominates. And whatever they did, whatever adjustment they made, they came out barreling baseballs early. Last night, they kind of sat back a little bit, and they had him cut in the first inning. He was cut and bleeding from his eye. They just could never get that knockout punch on Max Scherzer. And I think you have to tip your hat to Hall of Famer Max Scherzer for being able to grind through that. And I thought you pitched very well last night. Just couldn't get that knockout blow.
That was Darvish, not me. I wasn't out there.
Not you. No, you Darvish.
Yeah, no, we love that joke.
Hanging out with Raz or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey. It's okay. It's okay. Don't worry about it. I love you guys. Darvish was good, no doubt. The thing with Scherzer, you know, there's sometimes a thing that happens in baseball that we're sort of, you know, we call it effectively wild or whatever, but you know, sometimes it can be tough when a guy is like a little bit off command wise, because like, how do you square him up?
Yes.
He's missing a bunch. It's like that weird sort of in between where he's not wild enough that he's walking everybody and you're getting all these base runners, and then he has to come into the zone, but he's like just wild enough that it makes you uncomfortable. It's sort of like what it was like hitting, you know, in Little League when the kids first start pitching, and it's like, how am I ever going to get a hit here? Because nothing is close.
Blind
like that,
luck. Yes.
Yeah. Like, to me, a little bit of like what was going on last night, and that happens. And you know, if a guy is super wild, that's one thing. If he's super in the zone, that's another thing. But that tweener can be a little bit tricky, I think, sometimes. So that's what it was. And like you said, it's Scherzer, so he's going to be able to figure it out and work around it. They ran the pitch count up. They couldn't get it going against the bullpen. We also got in at 3:30 in the morning, you know, that day. So it's not the easiest day to go out there and play baseball. Not to make excuses, but you know, just setting the landscape for what it was. And you know, like we said, it's one game in April. That's it.
Yeah, Padres are 6-5, and while that's not, you know, record setting, they're doing it without Manny Machado getting hot yet, without Juan Soto really getting locked in. And Jesse, I wanted you to maybe chime in on one of our topics we've discussed. Manny was pretty open yesterday about, you know, the troubles he's had adjusting to the pitch clock. Juan Soto hasn't talked about it quite as much, but you certainly see it in the way he's, you know, changed his strategies on timeouts. He did it again yesterday, calling timeout before the at-bats even started. You can tell that those guys are working at it, and it's just not quite there yet. What are you seeing?
Yeah, very much that. I think that's a real thing. And it was cool because MLB, to their credit, I thought did a really good job all off season, and then especially in spring training, of communicating with the broadcasters and the writers, I'm sure as well, about, you know, the rule changes and sort of what to expect. And one of the nuggets they passed along was the minor leagues last year. Their observation, and everybody's observation, was that the hitters had a far more difficult time adjusting to all of this than the pitchers did. And I think that's probably counterintuitive to most of us because, right, the pitcher is actually the one on the clock, you know, from a literal standpoint. He's the one that has to throw the pitch before it gets down to zero. But they said that in the minor leagues, pretty unquestionably, it was the hitters who took, you know, a little bit more time to adjust. Now, Manny and Juan are literally two of the most talented hitters in the history of baseball. So do I have concerns about them being able to adjust, about having, you know, 7 seconds to get ready with nobody on base before they have to be alert to the pitcher? I don't. I just don't. Now, does that mean that they're, you know, going to be uncomfortable for a little while longer here? Maybe. And that's okay. Like, adjustments are something we all have to deal with in our lives at all times. And these guys are going to be able to figure it out. You know, these are not the kinds of people I'm worried about when it comes to, you know, having to do things a little bit differently. I like what Manny said yesterday. I thought he gave some really good insight about it, that you don't necessarily feel like yet you can think along with the pitcher and think about the at-bat and what might be coming, because the second I get into the box, I'm thinking about the clock. But that's something that'll change. You know, when he gets more comfortable with the rhythm of it and the timing of it, he'll be able to get back to thinking about what he wants to think about, and then he'll look like Manny Machado again.
Well, it's like I said today, you know what cures an active mind is barreling a couple of baseballs early, you know, getting a couple of barrels, and man, the world looks better. The sun is brighter. The food tastes better. Barrels really solve everything for a hitter. You barrel 4 balls, you're certainly going to feel a lot better about the clock and you know everything that comes along with it. Jesse, what do we expect today? We got Ryan Weathers on the bump. Who's throwing for the Mets again?
The wild left-hander David Peterson.
He's wild. I'm not super familiar with his game. I remember him a little bit, but fill us in on your analysis of him.
No, I'm not fully done with all my prep yet, but walks have been an issue for him here early on. He's thrown 9 innings this season. He's already walked 6 guys. And as we know with this Padre lineup, if you're not in the zone, they're not going to help you out. So that would be something to be aware of. You know, he's one of these guys. He can throw a lot of pitches and not a lot of time. So, you know, we'll see how in the zone he is able to be against the Padres and how much they can make him pay for that if he's not.
Jesse, are you a New York sort of guy? This is actually your first of 2 trips to the Big Apple this year. Anything you always like to do, or
food
when you're in the city?
Yeah, a lot of friends and family here. So I had breakfast with a buddy today, and going to see some people at the game tomorrow also. I love it. I do. I love it. I think it's it's such a unique place. It's so much fun. There's great energy here. They love baseball here, both teams, obviously. And so it's kind of, you know, you always feel like you're sort of at the center of the universe when you're here in a lot of ways, particularly when the Mets are good, and they are, and people are talking about them here. As you said, we come back next month for the Yankee series. That'll be a lot of fun as well. So, yeah, big New York guy. Love it. It can get a little busy with the friends and family, but trying to manage the best we can and enjoy it.
Obviously, it's early, but the new schedule, the travel impact, you know, obviously a late arrival. You already mentioned that, and there's probably going to be a lot more of that this year.
Yeah, the late arrival was, you know, Sunday Night Baseball, you know, not necessarily the new schedule. I'm going into it saying I don't think it's going to be a huge deal for us, but that's very easy to say during the first trip of the year, playing 2 National League teams we always play. There's no doubt. I mean, there are more miles being flown this year. There are more trips east. You know, there are some different opponents, so it will have an impact. It's going to have an impact on every team. The West Coast teams obviously get hit harder with that just because they're so far removed from everybody else geographically. So I'm excited about it, just as, like, you know, the dorky baseball fan that I am, getting to see every team, getting to get all to these different ballparks, you know, at every other year basically in the American League. So I like it from that perspective. But yeah, no, I mean, there is the travel challenge of it. I also kind of feel like, you know, there comes a point during the year where, like, what's another flight? You know, what's another 2 hours in an airplane? I mean, we spend so much time crisscrossing the country as it is. It's like, I don't even know that you could feel any more tired than you do by the end of the season, but maybe that's naive, and I'll sing a different tune later in the year.
All right, so Ben has a word. I made him obviously go away from Gadzooks for obvious to me.
It makes me smile every time I hear it.
Gadzooks.
Sorry, I just like it.
It's a great word. Yeah.
It's fantastic.
All right, well, Jesse, it's funny. We're just talking about the luck with the weather, and we have a weather-related incorporator word for you. If you've never heard the incorporator, Jesse gets a word from us and then has to weave it into tonight's broadcast here on 97.3 The Fan. And your word for tonight is pluviophile. Pluviophile, a person who takes great joy and comfort in rainy days, Jesse.
Pluviophile.
Okay.
A pluviophile.
That's a great word.
That's a phenomenal
I've never heard it.
Pluviophile. Pluviophile.
Now, is this a word that you knew previously, or you searched it out?
No, I found this one in my searches for interesting words, and it struck me as that is a fun, interesting word that I didn't know. And we'll all learn a little something today on the program.
Yes, we will.
But with the weather forecast, you're not going to be able to weave it in quite as easily.
Easier than fructify, though.
You
the
nailed that
most
last week,
important
for sure.
are. Did I? Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't hear it.
No,
Yeah.
you did. You crushed it.
Yeah.
You crushed it.
Okay.
All right,
Thank you,
Jesse,
buddy.
thank you very much.
Any other
Thank you, guys.
radio hosts you're going to go canoodle with, or maybe Mad
Oh,
Dog? You guys grabbing a coffee later?
He's on
You
with
and
Mad Dog
Dog?
often. I know that.
he is.
Yeah.
I know he is.
If you would like me to text you my both personal and professional schedules,
No,
I'm happy
just-
to do so.
Just professional.
Would you like? You want me to carry an air tag around for you?
Just
Boomer,
professional.
Boomer Esiason would love your thoughts on the Dolphins later today.
If
Jesse.
I had known, though, hey, no BS, it would have been a great bit. If I had known you were going on with DA, I would have sent you a Ben and Wood shirt to wear and see if they had. Did they bring us up at all?
Yeah. So obviously we talked about the thing that Mraz had said about the Aztec game and how
Yeah.
he got that all wrong, and I know DA went on with Tony and Chris
Yeah.
to kind of try and smooth things out a little bit. But I said to him, I said just.
Oh no.
Cast the Padre
Oh,
game.
hang on.
We lost you. You
cut
said
out,
you
cut out.
cut out when you said. I said to him.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I said to him, just so you know, the night that Miami was playing in the Final Four, I broadcast the Padre game. I want to make sure that was okay with you, that I did my job.
Well, you're a fraud, so
Yeah, fraud.
Yeah.
The guy went to a Billy Joel concert, okay, instead of going to a Yankees playoff game. So that's phenomenal. But that would have been a great bit for you to wear a Ben and Wood shirt. We need to get you one of those anyway, and I know you'll represent it proudly on your many media appearances, buddy.
I will wear it all over the country.
I appreciate you.
Jesse Ackler from New York on our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads.
So good.
He's great.
He's the best.
It is all a matter of how you look at things. And while you can say you're a little bit worried about, Juan Soto and Manny Machado getting on track and getting used to the pitch clock, if the Padres can still play winning baseball above 500 without Fernando Tatis Jr., without nary a home run and barely an extra base hit or a barrel from Manny Machado, and with Juan Soto hitting 200, imagine what they can do when inevitably those guys are all in the lineup together and they're all on a nice little heater. I mean, will the Padres be close to unbeatable in the times when the four tops of their lineup are all kind of on a nice little run and locked in?
You saw a little bit of a taste of it on Sunday night. Manny had a few hits. Soto had a few hits, got on base a bunch. And, they scored a bunch of runs. Xander Bogaerts, obviously Nelly Cruz with a monster night at the plate. Yeah, man, the potential is limitless. I mean, the potential is where you go, we should score 9 a night. Like when all those guys are back and if they're all clicking, I wouldn't want to face them if I was an opposing pitcher, no matter how good I was. Because if you got 6-7 guys in a lineup that can absolutely torch you, you're feeling pretty good about your squad. But we got to get there. Guys got to get on track. Guys got to start hitting the barrel. And once that happens, man, sky's the limit.
Yeah, we did see a taste of it on Sunday night.
And it was a blast to watch. People are like, I hate these blowout games. I had a ball watching that blowout game. If every game was like that, I would be elated. Every Padre game was a game like that.
It would,
last game
it
of
would
the World
come with
Series,
a different set of Cadillac problems,
and so good.
In terms of, how are you playing your best baseball at the end of the season when you haven't really been challenged much. But I would rather have that set of concerns than any other one. And again, this is all without Fernando Tatis Jr., who seems like he's going to be locked in and ready to go in just a few days. We're now, 9 days? 9 days away? This is the 11th. 9 days away.
Yep.
From the return of Fernando Tatis Jr. as well.
Man, there's such a part of me that wants to go to Arizona for that game so badly.
I was thinking about it too.
I really it's worth a road trip and a broadcast out there.
So if you joined us yesterday at this time, we had Jake from Cespedes Family Barbecue on, and he was about to head to lunch with Brent Honeywell. Chicken parm, we thought. But Woodsy has done some digging and found out that's not what Brent Honeywell had for lunch.
Well, notice who we didn't see last night.
What did Brent Honeywell enjoy in his midday meal
And
yesterday?
I think I know why.
Next on 97.3 The Fan. Final hour of Ben and Woods on a Tuesday. Another 4:10 first pitch from Citi Field in Queens, New York tonight. Ryan Weathers taking the hill against David Peterson. Sam Levitt with your pregame show at 3:10 this afternoon. Now, will we see Brent Honeywell make an appearance after he got the win, his first career win in Atlanta over the weekend? He's had a couple of days off now. Should be set to go. Or what happened at the lunch yesterday with Jake from Cespedes Family Barbecue that may have prevented him from going into the game last night? Now, we're not going to do any food shaming, are we? I hate food shaming.
Maybe.
Well, I mean,
maybe a little bit. Actually.
Listen, he's a young man. Remember when you were young?
Could eat anything.
You could eat. And I used to go home from college, and my dad would go, "Good God! Like, when's the last time you ate?" He's like, "Did you just eat a whole pie?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "You're going to be a whale someday."
How's
And
it
I'm like,
you had lunch
never.
at school, but then you got home at 3:30 or whenever, and
Yeah.
you
Eat
needed
a
a full
full
another
meal.
meal
Yes.
again just to tide you
Oh.
over to dinner,
bro,
which is at 6.
You guys know my dad. How do you think he reacted to the in-between meal snack? How do you think he reacted?
Not well.
Not well, Paulie, at all. So my whole life, I've been living in food shame. That being said, I'm not going to shame Brent Honeywell. I thought it was an interesting choice on game day. We got the text from Jake, who took him out to lunch, and he was taking him to this world-famous world-famous sandwich shop where their specialty
Italian sandwich shop.
Their specialty is the chicken parm sandwich. And we kicked it around a little bit. He ended up going with the sausage and onion sandwich. And I thought to myself, again, weird.
Like Jake made it sound like, it's a no-brainer. You get the chicken.
Yeah,
parm.
you get the and
That's
and
what you get.
Brent
at this
Honeywell
place.
got there and is like, "I'm not eating that. I want sausage and peppers and onions," which is, I mean, I look at that sandwich, I get heartburn immediately. I look at it. If it's in the same room, I'm like, "Ugh."
Jake texted me after the show yesterday. Honeywell lunch update for you guys. He went with the sausage and onions, medium-sized sandwich.
Okay, sausage and onions, medium.
Didn't get the large size.
No.
Kept it reasonable with the medium sized.
If they had flashed to him in the bullpen and he was given the like the just the indigestion, I would have died. We didn't see him last night. Didn't need him last night. I mean, you went out there and did his thing, and Tim Hill came in, gave up those runs, and that was that. So Brent Honeywell, I would imagine you'll see today. He's ready. He's rested. Got that sausage and onion sandwich out of his system. I bet it was so good, though. A New York sausage and onion sandwich. I bet it's just like, you love sausage.
I do. Although I love meatball subs too. When you go with the Italian meatball sub is delicious. Our place, Rosanna's in Encinitas, they have a great meatball sub. They also have the sausage and peppers.
I used to even eat a meatball sub from Subway. Like, I would crush
occasionally
a meatball sub from Subway.
Yeah, those are like 2,500 calories.
Are they really?
Oh yeah.
Is that the foot long? The foot long or the 6-inch?
Those are brutal.
Never get a 6-inch bet. You go full.
Wait. When you go to Jersey Mike's, you don't get the full one.
Not
do
a
you?
giant. I get a regular.
You get a regular.
Yeah, I don't get a mini.
Which regular is like a full sandwich.
The regular is a little smaller than like a foot long, but the giant is way
It's
bigger
like
than any
2
sandwich you should be able to
Yes.
eat by one person.
I have a buddy that gets the giant. I'm like, how do you do that? Like, I love Jersey Mike's. I couldn't get that down in one sitting.
Now, if you go with a person who likes your same order,
Yeah,
you get
you-
a giant and split it, save a buck or two.
Save a buck or two and probably get a little bit more for your money.
Yeah.
There you go. So, yeah, sausage and onions was the sandwich of choice from Brent Honeywell, who spent most of the night in the bullpen bathroom.
No beverage
I
announcement?
didn't update on the beverage.
All right.
Just tequila shots, potentially.
On a Monday.
But yeah, there you go.
All right, good news. Now we can go right to our Roundel report.
And get things started here with our today's edition of the Roundel Report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Reindl Report with Paul Reindl.
Hi, Paul. All right.
2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And 1 story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Reindl Report
Hey, Paul, how you doing? Okay, how are you?
on 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
Can I get a oh yeah? Oh yeah.
All right. All right. Gentlemen, we'll start off in the NBA. Ben actually threatened me while you were in the bathroom. If you don't bring up the NBA soon, I'm going to lose my mind.
I'm not surprised.
I will. You know what that means.
So a little update on a story we talked about yesterday. I think it was in Don't Do This, Rudy Gobert.
Yes, Rudy Gobert.
You know, when he's behaving himself, he's Rudy Gobert, but lately he's Rudy Gobert. He was suspended by the Timberwolves for 1 game for striking a teammate in a timeout. Then, of course, Jaden McDaniels was frustrated with getting called for a foul, punched a wall, broke his hand. He's done for the year. So 1 player from their starting lineup out due to injury, 1 due to his own wrongdoing. But I think the Timberwolves made the right choice there by suspending Gobert. And so they're going to be 2 men down heading into a play-in game tonight with the Lakers. Interesting note there. If the Lakers win, I believe they will face the Memphis Grizzlies, and there is some bad blood between those 2 teams. You go back to a couple months ago.
Who's the guy?
Dylan Brooks, who was getting into it with some players on the court, and then Uncle Shannon
got mad.
Stepped onto the court.
Got mad.
It was chaos at Crypto.com arena. So, I mean, look, if you can get me to watch any 7, what would that be, a 7 versus?
But they have to.
2,
Who do they play tonight? They play the
Timberwolves and
Lakers tonight. The winner gets the 7 seed.
Okay.
The loser plays at home against the winner of the 9-10 game later in the week.
Pelicans and Thunder.
Correct.
Right. So there's 2 games in the West. There's 2 games in the Western Conference tonight. Okay.
The Lakers against the
Timberwolves.
So the play-in tournament is essentially
just 1 game.
Is 3 games between 4 teams, with 2 teams making the playoffs. Does that make it any more clear to you?
We'll just let it play out, and then you guys can explain it after. Yeah.
7-8, the winner goes on.
Okay.
1
game.
The 9-10, the loser is eliminated. The 2 teams that are left, the loser of the 7-8 and the winner of the 9-10, then play, and the winner of that game gets the 8 seed and goes on.
Piece of cake.
Can I go back though to the Rudy Gobert? Gobert. Is it just me, or does that feel, even for taking a swing at a teammate, losing a playoff game feels like too harsh of a punishment for me?
It was a team decision, not the league.
Right, it's a team decision. Is there anyone in the Timberwolves organization, even Kyle Anderson, who was the guy who got swung on in the huddle, that goes, well, I know this hurts our chances in the playoffs, but I'm glad that my teammate is suspended for a game.
He said that?
No, he didn't, because I don't think anyone does. I don't think any fan wants Gobert suspended.
If you asked Anderson privately,
I don't think any player, I don't think any coach, I don't think any executive. My guess is they all want him to play. Is this all just big theater? Like they felt like they had to do something, or it looked bad? They get bad national PR if they just said, yeah, we know he took a swing at a guy, but hey, it's a playoff game and we're just going to let him play anyway. Does anyone in Minnesota have a problem with that?
Time,
yeah. I mean, to me, it's almost.
We're going to sit him for the opening tip, and then he's not going to start.
Then he gets to go in.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they want to lose and they'd rather take their chances in the second game and play Denver in the first round.
It's a good point you make, dude. And there was I'll never forget this. There was a bowl game. It was Notre Dame against Texas A&M. And 2 of the Irish star players were late to team breakfast. Lou Holtz benched them. They didn't play. And I was like, what are we doing? And it's hey, rules are rules. If you're not. And I'm like, they're late to breakfast. They didn't go out and wreck a car. He's like, hey, listen, they know and I'm like, okay, I get it.
If the NBA had issued a suspension, then there's nothing you can say about it.
That's a different story.
But this is a team thing. I don't know.
All right. We'll find out. We'll keep you updated tomorrow, Woodsy, on the NBA.
I can't wait.
We'll move over to the NHL. I found some interesting audio. So I got 2 clips here. And the first clip is from last Thursday night.
Okay.
The Seattle Kraken were taking on Arizona. It was an ESPN broadcast.
Okay.
With national broadcasters. We see that all the time, right? Dawn and Mud are off when the Padres are on ESPN Sunday Night Baseball.
Correct.
So a woman by the name of Leah Hextall, she was on the broadcast for ESPN's national broadcast of the Kraken And here's what it sounded like for one of the goals.
Here we go for Beniers. He scores! Hey, what do you say? The rookie with his 23rd of the season. The Kraken are up 4-1.
Okay. That's her call.
That is her call. The issue is that is the signature goal call of the Kraken home play-by-play announcer, John Forsland.
Stole his bit.
Totally stole his bit. Didn't it was a short clip. From what I was able to find, I didn't see anyone saying that she then later gave him credit or anything like that. It'd be like Carl Ravitch,
So this, yeah.
Right?
Stealing Jesse's bit.
Deep into the San Diego Nights.
Wait, yeah, all down by way of the K. You're like, you son of a bitch,
Yeah.
David Cohn.
David
Are
Cohn
you out
doing
of
a
your
rally
mind?
snap. So then
Be very weird if Carl Ravitch looked to David Cohn and said, "Thank you very much, Mudley."
Yeah, thank you very much, Mudley.
So then a couple nights later, Kraken are playing again. Now it's a home broadcast.
Okay, now he's on it.
Root Sports or whatever.
Forsland
the
is on
Northwest. Yeah. And I believe this is actually the color commentator, his partner, John Forsland's partner, that had this to say.
I mean, I am saying that in all envy, right? Because it is the sincerest form of flattery, right? Is imitation.
Correct.
But if you are going to imitate somebody, like on a goal call, just make sure you give that person credit, please. Okay?
Sounds very bad.
Right? Is that fair?
That's fair.
KT, that's fair, right?
That's fair. Fair enough. That's fair. This is the way you do it. Those are the ground rules. Now it comes back.
People really like credit.
Does the national broadcaster, was she in the wrong for using his signature goal call?
Well, it's
and
funny
not
because
crediting
it's
him?
the team that he calls.
Right.
It could have been an homage, but then if you're going to do an homage, and those, of course, are the words of the great John Forsland or whatever his name is, and that's how you do it if you're going to do it.
Yeah, I think it requires explicitly saying it. Maybe she thought,
if Carl Ravitch said, "Hi, deep and very gone," clearly imitating John herself, would you be upset? Would you laugh? Would you think it was clever?
I mean, as Padres fans, we'd know what he was doing, and we know that he knows what he's doing, and maybe it was just thought that it doesn't even need to be said what I'm doing. Obviously, I am giving a tribute to one of a great local broadcaster here, but it probably should have been explicitly stated for those who didn't, watching and didn't totally know what she was doing.
Yeah, I mean, people like to do
By the
that.
way, congratulations. The Seattle Kraken heading to the postseason in just their
pretty amazing
second year of existence. Got one of the wild card spots in the Western Conference.
Garbage year last
They
year.
did.
were
And they
horrible.
just got to 100 points in the standings.
Good for them.
Had a very good season. They're actually 7 points off of the best record in the conference,
There
which
you
is
go. Similar
the
to the
Golden
last
Knights.
expansion team, right? The Golden
Golden Knights, who have the
did they
number
have a
one
bad
seed
year?
right now.
Did they have a bad year their first year? And
No,
then
didn't they go to
they went to the
they went to
final
Stanley Cup
Finals
Finals.
in their first
Their
year.
first year.
They took a step back in their second year. I think this is this year 3 here?
3 or 4,
Three
yeah.
or 4, and they're the number one seed going into the playoffs tonight after tonight's regular season finale.
Awesome.
I really want to go to Las Vegas during Golden Knights
Sure,
season
yeah.
and see one of their games. at
Bro, I
T-Mobile
watched their
Arena.
freaking lacrosse team the other night. They looked like their show was really, really good. The Desert Dogs.
Stay there at the Park MGM and just walk
Walk
right
on
on the
over.
arena. I know.
Absolutely.
Pretty convenient.
Finally, I woke up this morning and felt very old. I wanted to see if you guys felt the same. Millie Bobby Brown, little Hollywood news here. The actress from Stranger Things,
Okay, I was
11.
going to ask you who that is.
She's the kid that played 11 in Stranger
11. Okay,
Things.
I watched a little bit of the first season.
You remember 11.
Yeah.
Eggo waffles and all that. She's engaged.
You can't marry someone who's 11.
She's
not
16
11.
now.
She's
so
19.
from Kentucky.
She's now 19 years old and seemingly engaged. Posted a picture this morning with her boyfriend, who I think his name is Jake Bon Jovi.
It's John's son.
Jake Bon.
Yeah, it's
Giovi.
That's how it's originally.
Bon
it's
Jovi.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know
So
that.
he changed it to Bon Jovi.
Just made it a little more simple
Yeah.
for fans to read.
His name is John Bon Jovi.
She posted a picture of him with his arms around her. She is clearly showing off a diamond ring. Caption was a Taylor Swift quote that said, "I loved you 3 summers now, honey. I want them all." So congratulations. But I felt like it was just a couple years ago that she was a 10-year-old actress in Stranger Things, and now she's engaged. I woke up feeling very, very old.
I'm actually surprised that you didn't cover the Taylor Swift breakup. That's just me.
I saw a funny meme on that. Taylor Swift breaking up with another boyfriend. And then there was a bat signal with
Paulie posted
Pete Davidson. That was funny.
Yeah, that was me.
You posted that?
Yeah.
It was funny. It was a funny,
Thank you.
funny meme. I laughed.
It was the low-hanging fruit. I'm
I
sure I was
laughed,
one of a
and it was
million people to make that joke. But
Very
yeah,
funny.
Pete Davidson's got to be blowing up her phone as we speak.
It's crazy. He'll probably get an answer too. Still don't get that guy.
He's got a huge package, from what I understand.
Social media presence.
That and
huge personality.
He's got a rocket for an arm and a.
All right, that's our Reindl report. We'll come back. Did the Padres, even though they lost last night,
Did they really win?
Did they? Did they set themselves
Sometimes
up?
when you win, you really lose. And sometimes when you tie, you don't win or lose.
Sometimes you lose and you tie. The Gloria tease here on Ben and Woods.
Next, after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
What is a quahog?
Sometimes when you win, you really lose. And sometimes when you lose, you really win. And sometimes when you win or lose, you actually tie. And sometimes when you tie, you actually win or lose.
I hate it when you talk like that.
We just did our version of the Gloria Tease. Padres in a loss really win.
Well, I mean,
winning the battle. No, losing the battle to win the war.
Obviously, you can't get yesterday's game back. It will go down as a loss in the standings.
That's going to be an L. Yeah.
If it helps you win the next 2 games and take the series, does that mean that it was actually a win to begin with for the Padres? Because even though they lost 5-0 and got shut out, the fact that they got Max Scherzer out after 5 innings, and then the Mets had to use 4 relievers out of their bullpen, more of their higher leverage arms, whereas the Padres got 6 1/3 from Yu Darvish, and then had a little bit from Tim Hill, and then Domingo Tapia at the end. They have all their back end options. Even Hill's probably available, whatever they need for game 2 here of the series. Whereas the Mets, if they do go to guys back to back, then they'll really be in, more trouble on the final day of the series. You've set yourself up. There are losses that hurt you in that day. And then there are other losses that, hey, my starter only went 2. We burned the bullpen. Now we're in bad shape for the rest of the series. Padres lost, but left themselves in pretty good shape for these next 2 days to finish up the road trip here in New York. So not a win, but certainly a loss that didn't come with as much damage as some of them do.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to see that's kind of how Bob's managed this team since he's gotten here. I mean, you may not have your best stuff, but he's going to expect at least 5 from you. I mean, it's fairly rare. I mean, Blake is kind of the exception early in the season, at least. That guy's at 75 pitches usually through 2 1/3. So I mean, you're not going to get 5-6 innings out of Blake Snell and 100+ pitches. You're just not. He's not economical with his pitches. Seemingly, you can get into a jam, work himself out of it. Seen the same for Musgrove. We've seen the same this season for Waka. We've seen the same this season for Lugo. We actually saw a little bit of it from Ryan Weathers as well, and hopefully we see some more from him today. But yeah, Benny, it does set you up nicely. But you don't want to get into a bullpen game. That's the thing is like you really need from Weathers today, you need 5 strong innings. If you're down 3-0, 3-1, that's fine, man. It's like get through those innings. Bob has to manage for 180 more games, hopefully. But it doesn't make sense to go balls to the wall every single night. We don't have the guns for it. We just don't.
And I think what you said earlier, that this is a game where, maybe the over kind of hits.
Yeah, it could.
You need to bounce back into that offense that we saw on Sunday night. Make the shutout loss a 1-game aberration. Every team's going to get shut out a few times this year. Now, you don't want to get in those stretches where you go 5 games and score 4 runs over the course of 5 games.
That's excruciating.
Make it a 1-game exception. Jump back out. Give Ryan Weathers some run support where he doesn't feel like he has to be perfect on every pitch. Can throw strikes and get through, 5 or maybe 6 innings. And yeah, even if he gives up 3 or 4 runs, if he can put 7 or 8 on the board, you'll be in a very good position to win the game, keep the bullpen fresh, and hopefully go for a series victory tomorrow.
Yeah, no doubt. You've got Hader that's really, really fresh. You got Wilson that's fresh. Again, like you said, Hill could probably go today if you needed him, but you've got your biggest guns are available today, which is, by the way, more important in a Ryan Weathers start than it is in a Yu Darvish start. So, the Sleepy Bob comments last night, he's leaving him in too long. You're set. You got to manage for 2 days ahead sometimes. You just have to. He knows the personnel he's got. He knows who's taking the
what was the
ball
argument?
today.
Was it the double by Canna? That was the instant you thought? Because the 2 dribblers down the third base line were not Yu Darvish being left in too long. Those were extremely unlucky or nothing a pitcher can do about that situations.
I'm just going to always submit that Bob Melvin knows more about managing a bullpen than I do. That's just me. That's how I choose to fan. I'm going to defer to the experts on what he needs from his pitcher. Also, he knows, hey, Ryan's on the bump tomorrow. Not expecting 7 strong innings from Ryan Weathers. Would be great if he got it. Not expecting it by any stretch of the imagination. So not saying a manager really ever punts, but you can punt without punting. You can punt, Ben, without saying, all right, Nabil, go in and eat up 4 innings. We're only down 3-0. That's a bit of a punt. Doing what he did last night kind of sets us up better.
Now, it would be nice if you could count on a good start from Blake Snell on Wednesday. That's a little iffy, obviously, at this point. Tomorrow, by the way, we'll already be in the pregame show tomorrow with Sam Levitt.
Well, early day.
Early 10.
What am I going to do with
10,
all this time?
10 a.m. first pitch,
Wait.
9, 10 a.m. pregame show.
We're out of here at 9 tomorrow?
We're out of here at 9:05,
9:05.
maybe.
Just like we negotiated.
Tomorrow morning with Sam coming in early. We'll get to see in-season Sammy.
Once a year.
Stepping into the studio. But the problem with Blake Snell's repeated short efforts is, it does get in Bob Melvin's head probably today with Ryan Weathers. It would be great if you get 5 good innings from Ryan Weathers and felt like, okay, we can now unload our bullpen, because if you had Joe Musgrove or Yu Darvish going tomorrow, you'd feel pretty comfortable going, I know I'm going to get 6 or 7 from those guys tomorrow. You get Blake Snell going tomorrow, you think, I'm probably going to need to fill 4 innings tomorrow. So am I going to push Ryan Weathers to give me 6 or maybe 6+ today, because I know I can't count on a deep start from Blake Snell tomorrow?
That's exactly right. I mean, you've got 2 starters, Ben. What do you feel like? What do you feel like a good over/under is for a Weathers Snell combo? 9.5. You guys taking the over or the under? I mean, I feel like if you
Probably
get,
the
I feel like
if
you go over that, you're like,
it's 10 though is the over that you're thinking.
9.5.
They both go 5, or one goes 4, one goes
Right.
6.
Bro, I'm taking the
I'm
under.
going over. I'll go over. Get
All right.
interesting debate.
Interesting bet.
9.5 innings combined
Weathers
by Weathers and Snell today and
Bro,
tomorrow.
it's why last night was managed the way that it was managed. You're going to have to unload. You will have to unload your pen.
And the really
18 games, 18 days.
I think
the really challenging part is that the Padres get on a plane after the game tomorrow. They don't have an off day on Thursday. They got to get right back on the field against another hot team, the Milwaukee Brewers.
Playing really well.
Eric Lauer against Nick Martinez, scheduled for Thursday night at Petco Park, as you continue this role of, a pretty hard. This has turned out to be a pretty tough part of the schedule.
You're not getting out of the chute.
No off days. Braves, Mets, and the absolutely hot Brewers, and then the Braves coming back in. My goodness, that's a 13-day stretch of death early in the season.
Some might say gadzooks when they look at that schedule, right?
And so, the fact that the Padres, they're still hanging a game or 2 above 500 at that point, and then Tatis comes back,
Yeah.
they go to Arizona. Not really a problem at all.
By the way, Arizona's on fire right
They
now
are
as
too.
well. So
you played them. Really, the only team.
There's no easy wins. There's just not.
I mean, the only team you've played really is the Colorado Rockies, and they're 5-6. So, I mean, you have yet to face a team that's struggling yet this season, and you don't have one on the schedule until pretty much what's the end of April. When's the first so-called cupcake on the Padres schedule now?
Cubs
5-4 winning record.
Right. Reds are playing
The
well.
Giants. You got the Cubs midweek. Then you go to Mexico City.
The Giants are 4-6. They
The
just got
Reds.
walloped. Yeah, the Reds are 4-5.
You got 3 against the Reds. Then you have an off day
Man.
on Thursday in May.
It's
and
tough in the
then
National
Dodgers
League.
come to town.
Every team has between 4 and 7 wins in the National League right now.
Yes. It's no joke.
It's a lot of parity at the moment in the National League. Now in the American League, the Tigers 2 wins, the A's 2 wins, the Royals 3 wins, the Tampa Bay Rays 10 wins. You have a little more fluctuation, but the National League pretty much start over after 2 weeks. There's been very little movement.
It's a bit grindy early in the season. So listen, 9.5, I think, is a perfect number for those 2 guys. I would kill for that number to go over. Honestly, by 0.5, by both of them going 5 innings.
That's what I'm kind of looking
would be
at.
a dream. A dream. If Weathers goes 5 and Snell goes 5, that's a dream. You have to fill only 8 innings from your bullpen, and you can do that with Wilson and Tapia and Hill and Honeywell and Hader for hopefully 2 of those, and call it a day. Get home with on a little streak.
Want to listen to 97.3 The Fan on the go? Download the Odyssey app to listen to us no matter where you are, whether you're walking the dog, out for a jog, that's not going to happen, or on a long road trip. Listen to 97.3 The Fan no matter where you are with the Odyssey app. Plus, you can enter contests.
Cutting a log.
cutting along,
chopping along.
Mm-hmm. Feeding your pet frog. Get exclusive apps only content from us. Plus, follow your favorite shows for app exclusive alerts. Download the Odyssey app today. Search 97.3 The Fan.
Walking in a bog.
Drinking eggnog.
Drinking eggnog.
All right. Working in a factory that makes cogs.
Installing a cog.
We'll come back, wrap things up on a Tuesday with more Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Bump it a bump it a bump it a bump bump it a dang it a dang it dang it a dang it ding a dong ding blue moon blue moon blue moon dip 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 blue 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 moon dip 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 blue 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 moon dip 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 bump it a bump it a bump it a bump bump it a dang it a dang it dang it dang it ding a dong ding blue moon.
Happy national.
4 different Bens.
Yeah, happy National Barbershop.
What would my quartet be called? Is the question. A quartet made up of 4 me's.
Colonel Budget's army.
Yeah, Colonel Budget and his soldiers. Your boy Colonel was trying to get out today, wasn't he?
Oh,
holy crap! I could see the buttons on the uniform bursting. Remember how the Hulk used to turn into the Hulk? Colonel Budget was like screaming to
Yet
get out of
somehow the pants stayed on. Like at least part of the pants.
Frayed.
They frayed, but they always stayed on. He was never left in like his stretchy underwear or anything.
Right. Yeah, Colonel will make an appearance from time to time.
I thought we were done with him.
I did. He said he retired and was going to play golf, but he came out today based on Juan Soto's 200 batting average. You're ready to move on from Juan Soto. It's fine.
I'm not ready to move on.
Yeah.
I'm just not necessarily ready to make him the wealthiest player in baseball history. There's definitely a difference. Yeah, you seem to be missing the wide gap between moving on and not making him the highest paid player in the history of baseball.
If you want to keep him, you're going to have to make him the highest paid player.
Do you think that that's 100% true still?
Yeah.
Even if he...
It's not just me.
Even if he does have sub... like Juan Soto years the next couple of years. That price tag doesn't come down to a more $350 million level.
I mean, we've talked before about what a potential extension may look like for Juan Soto. How old is he?
24.
Extend him till he's 30, and he can go get another deal. I mean, who wouldn't do that in a heartbeat? Would he do that? I have no idea. I've never spoken with. I've spoken with him. Never spoken with his agent. Don't know what his long-term goals are, where he wants to be.
I was just double checking. Yes, 24
years old.
Thank you for checking my math on Juan Soto's age.
Am I going to give him a 20-year deal today? Probably not. But I don't know that he'd want to lock himself in for 20 years.
But there's a big difference between different kinds of deals that he can get. You could be very comfortable right now. If you got a $350 million deal for Juan Soto, probably sign up for that in a heartbeat. But
you think Steve Cohen is going to balk one bit when he's on the market? Do you think Andrew Friedman is going to balk one even iota? If it's $400 million, do you think either of them are going to bat an eyelash?
I guess if you don't think it's a bad strategy to overpay players, then
I mean, you know what I'm paying for though. With every Fernando Tatis Jr. Did he deserve the 13-year deal? No. What are you paying him for? The potential of a superstar. That's what you pay for. Like, rarely does a guy. Aaron Judge is one of the few guys. Like, I hit 62 home runs last year. Time for you effers to pay me, right? It's usually no. I'm going to in the way that baseball's done now.
Manny was a mix. Manny's got a
Manny had
career.
Manny had monster numbers though too. Like, you paid him for the monster numbers he had in Baltimore,
right?
So, but the with Juan Soto and a Fernando Tatis Jr. and maybe a Ronald Acuna and guys like that have signed bigger extensions recently, it's no. I'm paying you for the promise of not playing anywhere else.
But in a way, you got a discount on those guys because you were buying out some of their cheaper years
and
all
that.
Yes, there's one more ARB year left for Juan Soto, but really there's no discount to be had with a Scott Boras client.
No, there's not going to be any massive discount.
Yeah, I mean, that's not going to happen. So you're not going to get that sort of long-term deal.
No. And nor do I don't understand. I don't know what he wants. I don't know what he wants. I can't get a read on him. I don't know if he likes it here, if he hates it here. I have no idea. I really don't. I have no idea. I mean, I know he's always smiling and happy and looks like he's happy to be out playing baseball. I know he loves the game of baseball. I know he works incredibly hard at it. You know, it's been 11 days. It's been 11 days.
Doesn't love these new rules.
No,
but those aren't going to be different anywhere else.
No. I mean, those rules are going to be the same in Philly. Juan. I did find it interesting though. They were talking. I think it was Mud and Don talking about it last night. I think on the broadcast, like he really loves hitting on the East Coast. He loves why? That's where he came up. Came up in with the Nationals, very comfortable in Atlanta, very comfortable in New York, very comfortable in all these places. He played in them a ton. He'll get comfortable. He's going to get
San Francisco,
exactly.
in Colorado,
That's exactly
in
right.
Arizona.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So his like highest batting average of all time is against the Braves, like because he just murdered them when he was with the Nationals. So yeah, I mean it's. I know that it's been frustrating for many fans. It has not even been 1 year yet. Not even 1 year. That on the trade deadline, we can assess where he is after a year. I believe in him. I think he's an ungodly talent. I think he has the best eye I've seen since Barry Bonds. You know, he's an ungodly talent. And you're going to pay him a lot of money for what his comps are. Really, and that's kind of what it is.
I guess I will acknowledge that I don't think Juan Soto has forgotten how to play baseball or was massively overrated for a few years. He just got lucky his first 3 full seasons in baseball.
Right, exactly.
That he put up
Man, I can't believe I did
numbers.
this.
That more or less at some point he's going to figure it out and he'll be as good or better than he was, as most baseball players are. Very few players in baseball history have their best years at age 19 through 22.
Yeah, and then just fall off
and
the
then
face of the
just
earth.
disappear. Most guys will be in their primes in their late 20s or so, and it would be very unusual for Juan Soto, barring a career-ending
Sure, of course.
injury, which is a different topic. He should get back to what he was and be even better at some point.
USO Mike has just named your barbershop quartet, and it is a flat-out banger. The Bud Jets, Jets, budgets. The Bud Jets.
The Bud Jets.
Ben and the Budgets.
Benny and the Budgets.
Benny and the Budgets.
Dang, 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 ding, dong, ding, blue moon, blue moon, blue moon. Dip, 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 blue, 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 blue moon. Dip, 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 blue, blue, I think I got it now. Blue moon. Dip, 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 bop, 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 dang, 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 ding, dong, ding. Blue moon.
Very deep. Very deep.
Paul altered that last deepness.
No, that was.
Is that me?
It was all you.
That was all me?
Yeah.
That was that deep? I'm impressed with myself. All right, we're going to check traffic. We've got 10 minutes, a little less than 10 when we come back. We can listen to me talk football, take some phone calls
I'm leaving.
if you
It's
want.
the middle of baseball season. What are we doing here?
833-288-0973.
I'd rather you talk basketball.
Or spin the topic wheel. We have all those choices. Hey, if we get a bunch of calls,
What
I'm
football
willing
are you
to-
going to talk about?
I don't even want to know. I don't care.
You don't
What's
wanna
your
know?
topic?
You don't want to know?
He did
to
this to
the
me yesterday,
Trojans.
by the way. We should pull the audio of our last segment yesterday. I'm like, all right, how do you approach Max Scherzer tonight? He's like, that's fantastic. Did you hear about Lamar Jackson? We're on the other side of the universe.
I was actually going to bring up, did you see the Dwayne Haskins lawsuit and story? Like, that's gnarly. Like, drugged, blackmail, conspiracy that led to his death last month. I mean, that was crazy story.
That's a high note to go out on.
Well, then we don't have to do that. I gave options, and obviously we're choosing one of the other options after traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the premier Cadillac of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Big Box Storage. Visit bigbox.com. Well, we're still doing some mop-up from this earlier car fire on northbound side of the 5-4 SeaWorld Drive. All that activity over to the right shoulder. Move over late if it's safe to do so. It's given some room. Also, traveling on the northbound 805 just before Balboa, there is a collision involving several vehicles. It's all been cleared into the center divide. Got this crash on northbound 15 right before the 52. That is over the right shoulder in the clearing stage. Got some of that fog still lingering around parts of the county this morning, guys. So just factor that into your drive. Take it extra carefully out there. Need to rent a storage unit? Forget renting and loading a truck. Big Box Storage delivers the storage unit right to you, loaded at your convenience, and it'll be picked up and accessible in your storage unit. Need storage? Get the storage you need with free delivery and pickup at bigbox.com. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
And this hour of Ben & Woods brought to you by Viejas Casino and Resort. The daily jackpots at Viejas Casino and Resort are on fire. Players have hit huge wins with bets as low as 50 cents. Check out their jackpot winning smiles on the Viejas Facebook page. Want to join them? who knows? The next jackpot winner could be you, Viejas Casino and Resort.
Check our Twitter feed. Somebody posted. You guys don't remember the Town Pounders? It's a bit we did.
Oh, that's right.
I don't remember
I do
this at
the
all.
Town Pounders.
Anthony
Yeah, I
just
do
tweeted
actually
it, Paul, if you
remember
want to pull the audio.
Tier ones remember our own show better than we
It's
do. sometimes.
incredible. I had no idea.
I do remember the Town Pounders.
I do not remember.
But Benny and the Budgets.
But the Budgets,
pretty
good.
clever as well.
It's pretty good. You have Padres Bod really agrees with you. He says we can't pay Juan Soto for the numbers he had for the Nationals. I'm not asking you to pay him for the numbers that he had with the Nationals. I'm asking you to pay him for the player that he's capable of being. That's it. And that's what he's going to command. And by the way, somebody's going to give it to him. And they're not going to bat an eye.
I think you are right about that.
There's no question. I mean, there's zero question.
There are teams that will take.
He's not going to fall to a $12 million AAV if he hits 230 this year. Trust me, it's not going to happen. He's not going to fall. All right, we can get Soto now for 5 years and let's call it $65 million. I mean, unless it's the Braves. If the Braves did it, it wouldn't surprise me. But
if the price came down that much,
yeah,
it's
buy two of them.
there's something else at play here. It's not simply an off season.
That's exactly right.
For Juan Soto.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Paulie wants to talk about Cliff Kingsbury to the USC Trojans.
I saw that.
I thought you said that. No, you didn't mention that.
I was guessing that was your hot football
offensive
stories.
analyst. It's a pretty big drop to go from head coach of an NFL team to an offensive analyst for a college team.
I thought he was going to hang him up.
I
remember. I thought he was going to like ride off. He was never
coming
back. I'm going to eat mushrooms and be on a boat and. Now he's doing what? He's with Lincoln Riley?
Yeah, he's second checking Lincoln Riley's work at USC.
Probably going to win every game.
Now let's just spin the topic.
Spin it.
Yeah.
Interesting here. If your food is bad at a restaurant, do you say something?
Ooh, no.
Never once. Never once.
I think it.
Oh, I bitch about it privately.
Oh, absolutely.
To my wife. Oh my God, this sucks.
I analyze it every time. I have places that I've gone that I think are just a hair worse than they used to be.
Yeah.
And I don't go there anymore. But I don't say anything. I don't need to.
Wait.
I don't get into their Yelp reviews.
No,
or
God, no.
I mean, you could order
anything like that.
You could order a burger completely raw, and I'm just not eating it.
So if it's raw, I'm going to send it back.
I'll give every restaurant one bad meal
experience.
If I've been there a few times and it's been good, and I have a subpar meal, I will, just like a baseball season. Everyone has a bad day, a bad cook. It didn't come out quite right.
You're trying to get it for cheaper.
No,
next time.
I just simply I will keep that in mind, and then if I go back and it's not good again, and then I'm probably done, and I don't go to that place, or at least until I hear some things have changed or it's gotten better.
Buddy, there's I would even say more than fast food. There's a restaurant that has gone so far down the toilet that I gave it twice. I gave it twice. And I think it's pandemic related, right? But like it's gone so far down that I gave it 2 meals and I went, I'm never eating here again. And it was like a once a weeker. Like it was a place I ate once a week. But it's been terrible now.
I mean, it happens. Just like baseball teams, restaurants have they go through phases,
down years.
You know, employees change, cooks change, management changes, and things go downhill, and then they go back up again as well. You always have to keep an open mind.
Have you ever sent anything back? I feel like I have.
I mean, if the order's wrong, like,
if it was wrong.
Oh, I ordered this with no cheese or whatever.
Yeah.
And I would never order anything with no cheese.
That's
but
fair.
If it comes wrong, I'll say, hey, could you take it back and fix that? And I'm happy to even eat that. You just take that off and bring it back. I will do that. But like if I ordered medium rare and I felt like this is more like medium well or well done, I'll eat it and just not.
I'll wear that one too.
I'll wear that one.
that one's tough.
Goes into the mental file in the future.
Oh yeah.
One more quick one.
Yeah, let's do it.
That's what she said.
Whoop.
Whoa, sorry. What happened?
Wow, a miss spin.
I had to delete.
A miss.
I didn't want to get the same one twice.
Oh, got it.
Delete it. What is the most beautiful place you have ever seen?
Ooh.
Well, I guess it's the Grand Canyon. That's why I put it on my phone's lock screen, and I didn't even change it back. I changed it to my dog, but then it knew me so
Oh my
well.
God, it did.
went
It's back.
And I didn't do that. It just went back to the lock screen. So
The most beautiful place I've ever seen. This is close.
I was there's a road. We were driving through Utah on a road trip, and it was like drop off on both sides.
Yeah.
It was terrifying, but the expanse just everywhere. It's just past like Arches and the national parks area there. Beautiful country right there.
The Narrows and Utah,
beautiful.
Zion was take
Zion
your breath
was
away. It was
very
incredible.
Incredible.
New Zealand was beautiful. I barely remember it. It was a very dark period in my life. Paris was stunningly beautiful. San Diego is my number one, though. I would never leave.
Hard to beat San Diego.
It really is hard to be, even on a day like today. Look at that. Gray, still better than
Look
your
at the
city.
YouTube chat. I was able to find the picture
April.
of the Town Pounders.
What is it?
It's our barbershop quartet.
Oh, it's us
Yeah.
as the Town
We're the
Pounders.
Town Pounders.
I
All
remember
right, that's it for us
Adam.
today. We got a shorter show tomorrow leading into Padres baseball. Looking forward to that for Paulie, for Woodsy. I'm Ben. Coach coming up next year on 97.3 The Fan.